Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles podcast on a playoff Thursday, presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app and use code PHLY365 to sign up. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365, and we have a lot to talk about. We got a full house in Studio A. Zach Berman, Deniz Selman, Fran Duffy, and we're talking about the Eagles offense against the Packers defense, an Eagles offense that, Zach, will probably have Jalen Hurts.
Oh, yes. I would be surprised at this point if Jalen Hurts is not out there. Now, I don't know how he tested today. The Eagles practiced during our show, but my guess is when the injury report comes out later, Jalen is listed as full participant, and then my guess is tomorrow Nick Sirianni will say he's out of the concussion protocol. That's just me guessing. I'm expecting Friday out of the protocol, Thursday full participant.
All right, and just for the timing of it all, locker room is later today. They're practicing right now, all of that stuff?
Yeah, practicing 2:25, I believe, at the stadium again. The turf is frozen at the practice facility.
The frozen tundra
So,
of NovaCare Complex.
Although, as I said, I hope you watched our bonus show last night. Well, not, I know you were on it, but the audience, watch the audience, that it's a cool visual being in the stadium for practice. It's kind of more truncated space there. You're closer to it. The sight lines are awesome. You're on the field.
Yes, you told us all about it. You got to take pictures closer to Jalen Hurts stretching.
Correct, Bo. And then and then locker room access is at around 5:00 tonight.
Much to your chagrin.
Much to my chagrin. Happy birthday, Sloan.
Happy birthday,
Yes,
Sloan.
happy birthday, Sloan.
Yes,
Happy
yeah.
birthday.
Yeah.
Which birthday is it?
It is her 6th birthday today,
Well, awesome.
I know that because I know it's my daughter. But
What?
no, she was born in between. She was born in between the Saints, the Bears playoff game and the Saints playoff game.
Oh, man.
Okay, which was 6 years ago. But no, I know she's 6 years old because she's
I
my
recognize
daughter.
you. You're the one. The double doink one, right?
Yeah, right in between those two games. Fortunately, she was born early in the morning. I talked to her about that today on the ride to school. Born early in the morning, so I was able to get to locker room that afternoon.
Wow. Fran, how you doing?
Better now.
Yeah. I think we all are. And Professor, we're treated to you on a Thursday.
Oh, playoff week. Let's go.
All right.
Yeah, no, I'm
fantastic. Let's get into it because we got a lot to get to in this episode. Obviously, Swooper Storecasting is coming up towards the end, and we are locked in a heated battle with the stakes rising and the game theory ratcheting up. But before we get to that, let's talk about the real football game. And this is the Eagles offense against the Packers defense, Fran. So let's talk Packers defense in general. 4th in EPA per drive, but 17th in success rate. They are 7th in DVOA. What is their identity? What kind of style do they play with?
Yep. So it's zone heavy. They're 28th in the league in man coverage rate. This is a team that wants to play zone coverage on the back end. That number has only risen, especially since Jair Alexander's injury. So these last several weeks, they've been heavy cover 2, heavy cover 3. Obviously, they will mix in some man-to-man coverage at times, but this is a primarily zone coverage team. They want to try and throw just a 4-man rush and have 7 bodies in coverage and shrink down those passing lanes, get population to the football, and create turnovers. And that's something that they've done at a really high rate so far this year. One of the best in the league so far at taking the football away. Again, not a high volume blitz team in terms of like 5 and 6 man pressure, but the linebackers, the nickel, they are very, very involved with the pressure scheme. And so you're going to see a lot of guys up on the line of scrimmage, and then 4 guys falling out and 4 guys rushing at the quarterback, and it's up to Jalen Hurts and the offensive line to kind of navigate who's coming and who's not before the snap. They've been very good against the run. They have a really good tackling team. The linebackers, healthy for the first time, really together. These 2 starting linebackers, Quay Walker, former first-round pick, Edgerrin Cooper, the rookie second-round pick, who has been just nails over the last few weeks. He has been a playmaker for this defense, really explosive, and it covers a lot of ground. On the back end, I talked about the Jair Alexander injury. They've had to shuffle some chairs on the back end. This is a much different secondary than what the Eagles saw back in week 1, where Keyshawn Nixon started the season as their nickel. He got paid this offseason to be that nickel. He's their most valuable DB right now because he can slide inside and outside. A really competitive player. On the shorter side, he's built like a nickel, but he can run vertically down the field. Really competitive at the catch point and good against the run. Good blitzer. The safety, Xavier McKinney, signed over from the New York Giants, has been extremely productive. A ton of interceptions, 8 picks this year. And when you look at McKinney, on the other side of him, it started as Javon Bullard, the rookie second-round pick from Georgia. That's who got the start in week 1 against the Eagles. But he's kind of bounced back and forth between safety and nickel. And now the way they've had injuries these last few weeks, everyone healthy, assuming everyone's healthy here this week, which it looks like it's trending that way. My guess is that when they're in their base defense, it will be McKinney and it'll be Bullard at safety with Keyshawn Nixon at corner with Carrington Valentine opposite him as the other corner. So those would be the 4 DBs. When they go to nickel, Bullard will come down and play in the slot, and Evan Williams, a rookie 4th-round pick, will be the second safety there. And so that's the way I envision it, and we'll see if that's the way it rolls out. But I think if everyone's healthy, I think that's the way this back seven will look.
Yeah, Williams has been out the last few games, and he was limited in practice yesterday. So we'll see.
Yeah, if I can ask follow-up to that. First off, as far as Nixon, you have him as a green player, which stands out that you think is a high-level player here. I spoke to someone from Green Bay who brought up who I see you've raised your eyebrows.
Yeah, flex.
Who brought up Williams as a player that's like a key to that defense. Not someone I knew him in college at Oregon. Not someone I've been as familiar with this year. Is that an apt statement? Is he a key player on that defense?
Yeah, he's definitely an important cog just because he's got that versatility. Much like Bullard, when he was coming out last year, I thought that he had some nickel and slot and free safety flexibility, and he is used that way. In terms of because they do a lot of disguise, rotating coverages, invert coverages, and so a guy might be listed at safety, but you're going to see him lined up to the outside. You're going to see him lined up in the middle zone. So you're going to see those guys moved all around the formation from a coverage alignment standpoint. And so I think Williams, his flexibility, Bullard's flexibility, Keyshawn Nixon's flexibility, that's all really important in terms of how this defense is structured.
Deniz, as you did the exercise of rewatching week 1 and then watching some of their recent games, how different did it look?
Well, definitely some. Okay, so week 1, in terms of personnel or in terms of scheme,
just stylistically.
I think Fran hit a bunch of the personnel usage differences. In terms of the disguised coverages, we did not see the same rate of exotic spinning to various forms of cover 2 and even cover 6, like out of those looks. So Xavier McKinney will start at the line of scrimmage. Looks like he's kind of he's almost like the 7th man on the line of scrimmage. Looks like he might blitz, and then at the snap, he'll rotate to be a high safety in cover 2 or one of the higher safeties in cover 6. You'll see, Bullard will start at one point, and then he'll rotate up. They do a bunch of different kinds of exchanges. In terms of the rate at which they do both those exchange pressures and blitzing with 5 or more, I think Eagles fans can just look at the Eagles. It's exactly the same rate of both. Both teams blitz on dropbacks at around the same percentage. Green Bay 17%, Eagles are 16%, but 10% exchange pressures for both. So 10% of the opponent's dropbacks, you'll have a 4-man pressure where it's not the 4 down linemen who are rushing. So if you're used to just watching the Eagles do the same thing with Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean coming in with one of the edge rushers dropping back, you'll see the Packers do that as well. And then to add to Fran's numbers with zone versus man, one of the things with Green Bay is they're pretty predictable in terms of early downs versus late downs, right?
Okay.
On early downs, they are...
And so are the Eagles.
Yeah, right? Similar.
Run, pass, I'm talking about the Eagles offense.
The Eagles offense, yes, exactly. So this is looking at just dropbacks. So yes, you're right. The Eagles run the ball a lot on early downs, but the Green Bay defense is just only 13% man on early downs, and that ranks 27th in the league. And that goes up to league average at 38% on late downs. And they also blitz a lot more on late downs with 5 or more. They're dead last in the league at early down blitz at just 13%. And then they're 28% blitz on late downs, which is league average. And another thing to note is that on those late down blitzes, it's almost always man coverage.
Yep.
That's what the man
like
coverage
all
comes
cover
in.
0, cover 1, and then as Fran was noting earlier, they'll have looks where it looks like it's going to be cover 0 or cover 1, and then McKinney's sprinting back, and suddenly it's a too high safety look.
Yep.
And I'm sure Fran has noted this throughout the season as well. One of the things that I've noted repeatedly from game to game is, man, that corner route is wide open in the turkey hole. Why didn't Jalen throw it? I feel like, especially against teams that have disguised cover 2 this year, Jalen's had some trouble recognizing it and throwing it to the right place. And his man zone splits, which Shield brought up earlier this week, which we'll get into a little later, kind of show that.
No, that's totally reasonable. We were going to talk run first, but why don't we just stay here? Let's talk about the passing game, because I do think you're talking about all the the sim pressures and the exchanges. The worry that Jalen Hurts might be rusty for this game, I think it's a little bit overstated. Like, he missed 2 weeks, whatever. But if there is rust, I think it's just as likely to be not recognizing what he's seeing.
Mental game speed rust, yes.
Like, as opposed to, he's not hitting
missing a throw,
the corner throw,
yep.
Or, the go ball. So in this game, him being in charge of protections is going to be very important.
Yeah. Honestly, look, the Eagles have more talent offensively than the Green Bay Packers have defensively. Similar to the way that we discussed the other side of the matchup on Tuesday, I think when you look at the way that the Packers play defense, with it being zone heavy, if you are really good at running zone coverages, that can level the playing field from a talent standpoint. And I think that when you look at the way that they go about disguising their coverages, showing pressure, falling out, Deniz mentioned that sometimes they're showing, it looks like it's going to be cover 0. If you're Jalen Hurts, if you're Cam Jurgens, if you're Saquon Barkley, you have to respect the fact that it could be cover 0, even if it is 1st and 10, because while they might not do it if it's 10 plays, they might do it 9 times where they drop out. You have to prepare for that one scenario. Otherwise, Jalen Hurts is getting bum rushed. So if you're Jalen Hurts, you're the protection. You have got to account for all that. And at the moment it changes, you are now saying, okay, it's probably cover 2. But who's playing where in cover 2? Because they do it. It's a lot of different varieties of cover 2. It might just be your basic where it's 2 high safeties and 5 straight underneath. It might be Tampa 2 where that middle player is running the shoot. That's where when he threw that first interception to DeVonta Smith, Xavier McKinney steps in front. That was a Tampa 2. That was the first interception of the season, backed up in their own end down in Brazil. That was a Tampa 2 play where you had the middle linebacker running down the shoot. Sometimes it's invert cover 2 where
both corners dropped to the safety
both
spots,
corners dropped to safety, and a safety that was deep. He's actually the middle player, and they do all these different versions of it. And so if you are Jalen Hurts,
is it ever cover 2 buster?
I'm sure they got a few in there.
Man, I was up late every night this week, Bo, looking for one snap of 2 buster. Still haven't found it.
On the topic of rust, when you look back, and this is for all of you, when you look back at that first game, how much do you think the way the Eagles opened that was a byproduct of rust, and how much do you think it was just a tough start to a game? They have 3 plays in the first drive, interception, 3 plays on the second drive, fumble.
I mean, honestly, that's been the way that they've been most of the year.
Exactly.
Like I was going to say, they've been rusty all year to open games. So that's, but
finished 30th in the league in first 2 drive offense.
Yeah, and again, it's not just pass game with the slow starts. The run game has been slow to start in most games as well.
I just asked because someone who thinks that Jalen's going to be rusty said, like, well, he was rusty in that first game, and look how he played. I just thought that was a tough.
I don't know. A rusty is like.
I know.
How could you tell? Who knows?
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
I don't know.
I also don't get a ton. Like that first game was so long ago. That I think there are things you could take away from watching it, but I'm not making like wholesale opinions on this game here based off of September 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, in that game, the Packers ran exactly 1 exchange. And Jalen actually hit A.J. Brown on a quick out, and it went for 20 yards. And it was one of those early season plays where we were like, maybe they're going to be good against the blitz this year. I don't know if you guys remember that play, but it was an exotic press. It was like they dropped both D tackles, they brought the nickel and both linebackers, and it was just like a quick game answer to that blitz. But that was the only one, and obviously you can't.
And that's the one where people point to that one as the reason that teams haven't sent big blitzes against the Eagles.
That one wasn't technically big because of the guys dropping out.
But they showed week 1, we showed we could beat that, so that's why we're not getting it.
Yeah, and then to Fran's point earlier about the disguise, in the last game against the Bears, I noted there were 2 different plays where it was exactly the same look, and they both spun to exotic coverages. but they were different. So in one of them, Bullard, the nickel, was lined up in exactly the same place. In one of them, he dropped to be the cover 2 corner with the actual corner dropping to safety. In the other one, he blitzed, and 27, Oladapo, came down and became the cover 2 corner. Both corners went back, but he blitzed, and that was later in the game, and it fooled Caleb Williams. So it's one of those where you're just like, it's not as obvious as like, okay, once we learn it, they're going to do the same thing every time.
Yep.
You can tell that a lot of thought has gone into it, and that it's definitely designed to confuse the quarterback.
Zach, did you like Victor Oladipo?
Well, he's talking about
Katana Oladipo.
Katana Oladipo from Oregon State, right?
Yes.
I certainly liked Victor Oladipo when he was at Indiana. This is in college with the Pacers as well. Wasn't as bullish on him when he was with the Magic. Saw some promise when he was with the Thunder.
Okay.
And it's a shame what happened when he was with the Rockets and then the Heat.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean,
Huge flex right now.
Good for you.
even actually, I mean, a true flex, if you will, is that I saw Victor Oladipo.
If you
play,
will.
if I saw Victor Oladipo play at a high school basketball camp that way. I was doing a story. Hey, he's actually the head coach now at George Washington. His name's Chris Caputo. At the time, he was an assistant coach at George Mason. I was writing for the Washington Post, and I did a behind the scenes of like a day in the life of an assistant coach on the recruiting circuit. And he went to 3 camps up here, and I sat with him, and one of the players he was recruiting at the time was Victor Oladipo, who went to DeMatha, I believe. And so I remember I always recall because I like interviewed the guys that George Mason was interested in, and Victor was one of them.
I mean, what a
just
home
never
run
know.
of an answer.
Yeah. It's like when we found out that he went to a stranger's house in Tallahassee one time.
Yeah, he's got something for everything. On the cover 2 front,
Yes.
A.J. Brown.
There's a lot here. Yeah.
There's a lot here. Let's start with A.J. Brown because A.J. Brown's numbers in terms of target rate are hugely different from man and zone. It's also an efficiency thing. Why do you think that is? And do you have any faith that they will solve that?
All right, so a lot there to unpack. Deniz has pointed out throughout the season that when it's
There's the
man-to-man coverage,
the shorthand is yes.
A.J. Brown that's where Jalen wants to go when it's man. DeVonta Smith is where he wants to go when it's zone. We've talked about the efficiency numbers for A.J. Brown and how he's been like near record-setting pace in terms of like yards per route run this season. You know, for the majority of the season, he's been extremely efficient, extremely productive on a per route basis. Now, this is a stat I got from Next Gen Stats here yesterday. A.J. Brown has been targeted just 17.1% of the time versus cloud coverage. Cloud coverage meaning that you've got basically cover 2 to that side. And so whether it's straight cover 2 or if it's cover 6 where it is the cover 2 part of the coverage to A.J. Brown's side. So 17% there, whereas versus all other coverages, it's 34%. So you basically cut his targets in half against cloud coverage. Now, Green Bay led the NFL in cloud coverages this year with 38%, and it's been 48 or 43% since week 10, since their bye week. In week 1, between these two teams, Hurts against those cloud coverages was 3 for 6, 32 yards, and that interception that we talked about earlier. So, look, Jalen, and we've mentioned this throughout the season. I remember there was that stretch in the Jacksonville game mid-year, the Kelly Green game, where it felt like it was the end of the second quarter, and Jacksonville was just like cover 2, Tampa 2, cover 2, cover 2, cover 2, every single play, every single snap. And that's because Jalen at times has struggled with, especially when it's a disguised version of cover 2, because you have to be able to, especially if you disguise it with pressure. Okay, is it pressure or is it not? Where's the hole in the zone? Who's playing where? It's a lot to go through. And if he's not patient in the pocket, he's going to roll out. And then, as we've talked about, the longer he has held onto the football this year, the worse things have gotten in general for the offense. And so, to me, when I look at this game, Green Bay is going to lean into that and say, okay, we're going to try and play these cover 2 snaps, disguise cover 2 extremely well. And if that forces Jalen Hurts to we don't need to get Quay Walker doesn't need to get home for a sack. Rashawn Gary doesn't need to get home for a sack. But if this forces a throwaway, if this forces a short incompletion, that's a win for us defensively. And honestly, like when I was watching the Green Bay defense this year, this week rather, I'm taking note, like, man, like another good disguise cover 3 or cover 2, and it's a throwaway, and there's a sack. And so I went through. I'm like, all right, let me look at these numbers. They led the NFL in sacks out of cover 2, in throwaways out of cover 2, and which quarterback was the worst in the. He actually was third worst in terms of sacks and throwaways against cover 2 this season was Jalen Hurts. And so when I look at that part of the matchup in a play, because that's the thing, and I've been talking about this game with a lot of people this week, and it's like, oh well, the Eagles have so much more talent. The talent should win out. When you get to the playoffs,
it's not that easy.
When you get to the playoffs, it is one game.
Yes.
It is one game.
100%.
It is a handful of plays. It is a small sample size. So that's why you go to like an elite quarterback can take over a game. A great game plan can change a game. Explosive plays and turnovers can change a game. So when I look at this and I said, like, these are the places that can create turnovers. Jalen Hurts has done a nice job of not turning the ball over. These are the types of things that can wreck this game for this past game.
Yeah.
To your point, Deniz, you have a chart that we can go to, Julia. It's the bar chart with the different colors. It's the quarterback dropbacks resulting in non-targets, and this is exactly to Fran's point.
Yeah, I mean, to complement what Fran was saying about man and zone real quick first, and this is piggybacking on something that Sheil and Sean Syed were talking about earlier this week on their show. Jalen Hurts is 22nd in the league against zone in EPA per dropback. He's third against man.
Right.
And a big part of that is because he's throwing the ball to A.J. Brown against man coverage. Now, in the NFL, I mean, just for context, over 70% of dropbacks are against zone coverage. So being good against zone it matters more than being good against man.
A.J. Brown's numbers, just quickly, very similarly, 4.3 yards per route run, number 1 in the NFL against man. He's still 11th in yards per route run against zone. It's 2.5. It drops down, but his target rate drops from 38.4%, which is 4th, all the way down to 22.8%, which is 33rd.
Yep.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense. And I'm guessing DeVonta Smith's is somewhat the other way.
Actually,
about the same, maybe.
No, DeVonta Smith is about the same target rate as A.J. Brown in zone as well. It's just that he's
right, but he's just much lower in man.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Right, that makes sense. So in terms of the non-targets, almost 25% of Jalen Hurts' dropbacks this year have resulted in a non-target. So a non-target means a sack, a throwaway, or a scramble. Now that's the highest rate in the NFL, and it's also the highest of Jalen's career. Jaden Daniels is the only quarterback kind of near him that among the playoff quarterbacks. When you look at year to year in Jalen's career, that number has been pretty much exactly at 20% the other 3 years. And this year it's up to over 24. So there is a difference between the past 3 years and this year. And then when you break it down by zone and man, to Fran's point earlier about the throwaways and sacks against zone coverage, 26% of his dropbacks against zone have been non-targets. That leads the league by a lot, including over Jaden Daniels. Against man, it's down to around 20%, which is still above league average, but it's at 6th. And by the way, league average, it's 15% for both. So it's not like across the league, quarterbacks result in non-targets more against zone than man. It's not the case. In fact, it's a little bit lower against zone than against man, league-wide. And so Jalen, specifically, whether it's Jalen or whether it's and I was going to ask you this, Fran, how much of it is the scheme, the offensive scheme, and how much of it is Jalen leading to all of these non-targets? Because from an offensive coordinator perspective, you would think that a non-target is... I mean, obviously, it could be a productive scramble, but a non-target is not the way you design the play.
Yeah, and honestly, that's been one of the big questions we've been asking for the last couple of years, right? In terms of are the inconsistencies the product of the system, or are the inconsistencies a product of the quarterback? And I would say that at this point, we can say, I think with confidence, that's a little bit of both, right? I think that there are times where the system doesn't have the answers for the quarterback, and there are times where the answer is there and the quarterback doesn't take advantage of it. And so in this game, again, it's going to come down to the one game sample of which one is able to overtake the other, which one is able to come through better for the Eagles. And just eyeballing that chart, I mean, like the scrambles you take the scrambles. That's part of what makes Jalen Hurts a good
and the scrambles have been productive this year.
He's been a very good scrambler this year.
Right. So even if you take that out, and he looked like just eyeballing it, the third or fourth most scrambles on those dropbacks. The throwaways, he looked like second to Russell Wilson, which those are, you would probably think, a byproduct of the conversation early in the season of too many turnovers to some degree. And then the sacks, he's also towards the top. And that is a problem that Jalen Hurts has had for a while.
And also scrambles. I mean, conventional wisdom is that you scramble more against man because everyone's got their back to the quarterback. 10% of his zone dropbacks result in scrambles, only 6% against man. So it's not just a matter of like, okay, I'm going to scramble now because it's the thing to do. I think a lot of his scrambles against zone are
he doesn't have another
like
answer.
sacks that he escaped because he didn't throw it. You know what I mean? And it
or
turned
he
it
knows
into
it's
something
man.
positive.
He knows where he's going with the ball if it's man.
Exactly.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. Like it's not. Yeah, exactly.
I can tell you, the Eagles have these daily full team meetings, something they haven't had in the past, and something Lane Johnson was telling me is that Nick at every one of these is like bringing up turnover differential. So to your point, yeah, I think Jalen, especially, the big adjustment obviously during the bye was running the ball more, but I think with Hurts in particular, it was the coaching staff emphasizing to him, look at what happens when you don't turn the ball over. So I think that he would much rather take a sack than put a ball up there.
So in this game where the Packers defense, what makes them good statistically is their ability to turn teams over. Just the difference in their EPA and their DVOA versus the success rate. 17th in success rate. Do you think that's the right way for Jalen Hurts to play in this game? Is to be a little bit skittish?
Skittish. I don't know if skittish is the word I would use as the way I would want him to play.
Yeah.
But I think that conservative. I think is a good way to look at it. That said, I mean, look, I do think that regardless, they're going to want the run game to be a big part, and that probably goes into the nature of it. We'll get to the run game in a little bit, but that is where, if that's the way that he's going to play, if they're going to come out and he's going to be a little bit more conservative, I do wonder if that's when they try and blitz him and heat him up a little bit to almost like have him second guess that, because typically when they do blitz, it is man to man. There are times where they will blitz, and especially if it's with Cooper, because Cooper is so explosive and he gets there so fast that you might have some kind of fire zone blitz where you've got guys dropping into the pass lane, and Jalen's just going to have to be cognizant of where those droppers are going.
All right, we've got a lot more to come, but we got to take a quick break to hear from our sponsors. Hello Fresh. Yeah, let's talk about our friends at HelloFresh. Before the show started, Fran was telling me, he's like, I had a delicious HelloFresh dinner last night. What was it?
It's brisket tacos.
Brisket tacos.
Outstanding.
Sounds great. I bet it was easy to make.
Very easy.
That's what you get with HelloFresh. If you are tired of trying to figure out what's for dinner night after night, as I'm reading this, I just got a text from my wife with a dinner idea for tonight. Every single day, we're trying to figure out, all right, what's our dinner plan for tonight? Well, HelloFresh makes that a lot easier. Their lineup of prep and bake meals come together with minimal mess and only 5 minutes of prep, so your oven does most of the work, not you. HelloFresh's 15-minute meals are done in just 3 simple steps, so you can eat better this year without all the hassle. This is I've talked about this who knows how many times on this show. The 3 things about dinner: you want to make something quick, you want to make something that's not expensive, and you want to make something that tastes good. It's usually hard to get all 3 things. You usually got to pick 2 of the 3. HelloFresh helps you sort of hit for the cycle. Now, I said hit for the cycle, but it's 3 things.
Yeah.
Triple crown.
Touch all 3 bases.
But there's 4 bases.
Hit a triple.
Yeah, but then that implies that there's another base to go.
Get the hat trick.
Hat trick. That's
Just come
good.
up. Yeah, there
the
you
hat
go.
trick. There we
Okay.
go. All right. HelloFresh. That's what it's all about. You can get up to 10 free meals and a high-protein item for life at HelloFresh.com/Eagles10FM. 1 item per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's up to 10 free HelloFresh meals. Just go to HelloFresh.com/Eagles10FM. Eagles10FM. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.
I know Philly's excited for the big game. I'm not talking about Sunday. I'm talking about tonight. I'm talking about Penn State, Notre Dame. What a big game this is. And Penn State, 1-point underdogs in essentially the Final Four of the college football playoff. And if you,
Fran for rooting for our team.
and if you want to bet on this game, there's one place to do it, and that is Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Bet365 has 90 million users worldwide. They live stream 780,000 events each year. They have early payout offers across NBA, NFL, NHL, and MLB. They pioneer live in-game betting, which is always fun to do when you're watching a big game. And they offer the widest range of games and markets available for live in-game betting across 78 sports. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Use the code PHLY365 to sign up. Deposit $10 and place a bet for $5 to get $150 in bonus bets. Bonus bets can be used on the spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. There's so many good places to turn on Bet365. If you're not into the game tonight, there's playoffs in football on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. There's NBA games going on every night. There's NHL games going on every night. Nowhere better to turn than Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHLY365 when you sign up to get $150 in bonus bets when you bet $5. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and physically located in PA. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
I see you looking at photos there.
Yeah,
Zach.
quick three big updates from the link.
Three big updates.
Yeah.
Okay.
A hat trick.
1, Ian Book is back, presumably on the practice squad.
Yeah, something. Yep.
2.
Well, I mean, Zach told me when they waived Ian Book that was good news for Jalen Hurts. So does this mean this is bad news for Jalen Hurts?
No, not at all. Practice squad, as we've outlined, it's a different situation. He's not joining 53.
The Eagles have never not gone to the Super Bowl when Ian Book is on some part of the roster. So yeah, he was on the 53 2 years ago. The second piece of news is that they've painted the end zones since yesterday. Nice looking midnight green.
Okay.
And then the third is that Jalen Hurts is on the field again. So
In that order.
Is he practicing or is he just there?
it looks like
he
he
frozen
looks like,
solid
looks like
after
He's
he's
being
practicing.
practicing and
yesterday?
he's wearing sleeves today.
He is.
So he made the statement yesterday.
Wow.
He got his point across.
Yeah, he proved how hard he was.
Yeah, and now he's wearing sleeves. He's also I don't know which Jordans those are. Maybe the 3s, but he's got some nice kicks on. Some
And
nice cleats on.
is he stretching?
He is stretching. Yes, people were able to get close photos of him stretching.
That's very exciting. All right. I want to get to the trench battle here.
Okay.
First, but circling back on the passing game, I mean, I know that this is a ridiculous question to ask, but is there anyone else besides A.J. Brown and DeVonta Smith who could be of value in the passing game this week?
Goedert. Yeah,
Mhm, yeah.
Goedert should be. I think that when you look at the way that this team has given up some explosives, look, some of their guys on the outside have lost one-on-one. I think when you look at Carrington Valentine, who's the other starter, number 24, the way I kind of describe him, he's like Rasul Douglas. All right, so he's big, he's long, really good ball skills. He'll climb and finish for interceptions. Does not run all that well. So you can attack him. Keyshawn Nixon, he's really, really competitive, but he's on the shorter end. And so like A.J. Brown against Keyshawn Nixon, I don't think that they would feel comfortable with Nixon playing against A.J. one-on-one consistently the way that they did Jair Alexander back in week 1 when they shadowed Jair Alexander against A.J. Brown, essentially. That said, I think when you look at the middle of the field, you look at those safeties, you look at Bullard, you look at Williams, they're both on the shorter side. If they're defending the middle of the field, Dallas Goedert down the seam is a nice option there. Now, both linebackers, again, if you anticipate both being healthy, Quay Walker has missed the last couple of games. So if you look at Quay Walker, really long, really athletic, he can match up physically with Dallas Goedert. And then Edgerrin Cooper is smaller, but he's so explosive and he's been really productive on the ball. And so I do think when you look at both those linebackers healthy, probably want to stay away from the middle with those guys, but if you can catch them in one of these invert coverages where the safeties are playing in the middle of the field, I think that's an area where Goedert could have
I know
some
you were
success.
curious about the linebackers because these two guys haven't played together yet, right?
Yeah, that's in terms of the linebackers, the two guys that Fran is anticipating will start are Quay Walker and Cooper. They've played only 144 snaps together this season as the two linebackers on the field. It goes up a little bit when you go to the ones where there are 3 on the field. But by comparison, Nakobe Dean and Zach Bond have played like 1,000 snaps together. And they have it. The last time they played a full game together was back in week 11. So 2 months ago against Chicago is the last time, and then Walker got injured in Seattle week 15 and hasn't played at all since.
Yeah, basically Cooper got hurt in camp, and so he was injured coming into the season. McDuffie was the starter next to Quay Walker. They did everything they could to get McDuffie out of the lineup so that they could get Cooper in. So then it was so Cooper and Walker were playing. Cooper got hurt again, so then he was out for a little bit. Eric Wilson came in, the former Eagle. He was the I can't believe that.
Unbelievable. He's like such a big player for them.
It's his second time coming up in like 2 weeks. He had that interception against the Chiefs.
So when you look at so it was Walker and Wilson for a while. Then Cooper came back, but then as Dana has mentioned, that's when Walker got hurt. And so I will say, like, Green Bay fans are very excited to have both these guys healthy because both of them have had really good moments this year, and they're a big reason why this defense has had success.
You mentioned the linebackers not playing with each other. You mentioned, is there anyone in this passing game other than Smith or Brown getting targets? We've only seen Goedert, Smith, and Brown on the field together 3 times this season.
Wow.
The Green Bay game being one of them, of course.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that game, Goedert had a 21-yarder on a mesh concept. It was an obvious pre-snap man read by Jalen where he checked to mesh at the line, which we've seen a bunch of times this season. A.J. Brown was the one running the interference, and it was Bullard who was covering Goedert on the play. Bullard in the role of a safety in that. But as we know from all these years of Dallas Goedert, there are some staple RPOs that they run with him. Those curl flats and those slides. The crash concept with him and A.J. Brown is something the Eagles have done over and over and over again these last 3 years, where A.J. Brown runs a short in-breaker from the outside, Dallas Goedert runs the corner from the inside. That's something that they've done much less in the games with Goedert not playing.
And that concept is good against cover 2. If you know it's going to be cover 2 before the snap and it's not like a disguised version, like that is a good cover 2 beater because that corner route should be going into the turkey hole, into that space between the corner and the safety along the sideline.
Kurt Warner had a video where he was just like very annoyed that the Eagles ran that all the time because he was like, this is a man beater. Why they run it against zone all the time? And he thought it was interesting that they run it so much.
Do you have, Deniz, any faith that like the structure of the passing game alone in this game is going to sort of break tendency and not be quite as predictable as it has been for most of the year?
I'm really glad you asked this, because Zach asked Kellen Moore on Tuesday about the low rate of under center play action this year, and that's just one example. And he said, "Good question," which I agree. I think good question.
Good question. Yeah.
It was your question, and he usually says "good question" when he doesn't have an answer.
Yeah. Every week, he said, every week is going to be focused on tying things together, run game and pass game. We'll see where it takes us this week. In terms of under center play action alone, they hadn't run it in a month. There were 0 snaps of under center play action in weeks 15, 16, and 17. That's starting with the Pittsburgh game, which was like the return of the pass game. They didn't have any in that game. They have 34 such plays all year, which ranks 30th in the league. And this is something that Kellen Moore he was up in the hundreds every year when he was at Dallas. In terms of breaking tendency, I think Nick Sirianni has this message to the team this week, and all the players seem to be echoing it in the locker room, that you don't get to 14 wins and then suddenly say, okay, it's the playoffs, now we're going to do this.
Yep.
I feel like it's not just the players. I would be shocked if suddenly it's like, okay, we're going to do a bunch of things
more than like one token play.
Yeah, maybe they'll have like a new concept out of empty this week that they run like 6 times or something. But
we can get into that. I actually think that would be a good tool for them in this game. Would be the use of empty. Well, going through some of their numbers, they were pretty poor against empty. Success rate was the 30th in the league defensively.
Yes, you said you were going to spend your evening watching all of their.
It didn't take me long because it was only 81 snaps of empty. So I got through it in a little bit. But one of the things that they play man-to-man coverage like about 11-12% clip against empty. So which that matches with all the other downs as well. So this is a team, again, they don't want to play man. So you're not going to force them to play man. It's not like, they're going to go empty and then they're going to run mesh. But what you do is you can spread them out. They're going to play cover 2 or they're going to play cover 3 out of this, unless they're going to blitz, and they will show blitz and do it. But if that's the case, like now that they've become predictable, you can run these route concepts to get the ball out of Jalen's hand fast. It was a couple weeks ago, that Pittsburgh game, they used empty a handful of times in the first half that allowed Jalen to get the ball out quickly and get it out clean. I feel like that would be a nice tool. Because that's the thing, guys. Like, there was all that. There was the A.J. Brown, like that. What's wrong with the offense, the pass game? That feels like a while ago now.
Yeah.
But in terms
That's
of
the
like
last full game they played together.
that's the last full game, and it was the first half when it was like really, really good the past game, and then we talked about it afterwards. Like, the second half, like it kind of leveled off a little bit. It was more of the same things that we've seen in the past, and then Jalen got hurt on the second drive the next game. So we're not that far removed from it from an Eagles timeline standpoint. To me, like getting into empty, and especially out of 12 personnel, because the Packers, they match up to 12 personnel with base defense 90% of the time. So if the Eagles go out,
most in the league.
Yeah. So if they go out with Dallas Goedert and Grant Calcaterra, with A.J. and DeVonta and Saquon, and they're going to play base defense with Eric Wilson on the field, even if they're playing zone, spread them out and take advantage of a matchup. That might be DeVonta Smith working against Eric Wilson with 8 yards of space and a two-way go. Take advantage, nice easy completions, and continue to move the football.
Fran, if you thought those 81 snaps were quick to look at, that Green Bay faced an empty, let me tell you how many times the Eagles ran empty out of 12 personnel this year.
Okay.
7 times all year. Twice against Tampa, twice against Jacksonville, and 3 times against Pittsburgh.
Okay, 3 times against Pittsburgh, last full game together. That's something.
Yeah, 3 times against Pittsburgh. That was the big empty game, remember?
And that didn't even have Goddard.
2 of those were against base. 1 was against Big Nickel. It's true that
That's
there was no
actually a good
Goddard.
point too. Is that without Goddard for 9 games, that'll affect
That
your
might
12
be
personnel empty stuff.
that might be part of it. Though they ran more 12 personnel than almost everyone in the league, like during the time that Goddard was out.
Yeah,
so,
but you're not going to put CJ.
but it's not going to be. You're not going to have right. CJ Uzomah or EJ. Yeah, exactly. That's true.
Okay. You know what? Let's take our last break because we have not even gotten to what figures to be the most important part, or at least the most high volume part of this side of the matchup, and that is the running game coming up in a sec. Oh, my aching joints. Where can I go to get some relief? I know. Rothman Orthopedics. Because if your joints are aching or your hands are cramping and your back is out of whack, Rothman's got you. At Rothman Orthopedics, practicing specialized care has been their passion for over 50 years. Their mission, high quality, compassionate, and affordable care rooted in research. Research leading to new treatments and better outcomes. Each Rothman doc is laser focused on their specialty. We got hip, we got knee, we got spine, you name it. They have a team for each body part right in your backyard so you can cross over the defense, drain those jumpers, and root for our teams like no other fans in the country. They're Rothman Orthopedics, and they specialize in you. Year over year, Rothman consistently performs among the highest volume of hip, knee, shoulder, and ankle replacements in the country. It's not just the volume of new patients and consults that Rothman is most proud of, but instead it's their commitment to improving each of those patients' lives through their service and care. For more than 50 years, Rothman has participated in thousands of groundbreaking research and clinical trials with the goal of advancing knowledge, developing treatments, and improving outcomes for the benefit of our patients. Rothman Orthopedics, specialized in orthopedics and you. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY to learn more and make an appointment today.
Let's now hear from our friends at TrueMark Financial Credit Union because, look, it's that time of year where I'm feeling a little heavier physically. A lot of holiday pie, a lot of cheese this week. You know, we've been taking in a lot of those extra snacks during the holiday season, but the wallet it's been a little bit light. We spent a lot of money getting through the holiday season. So if you are like me and that holiday shopping left you with a credit card balance that might be weighing you down, think about this. What if you could pay all of that credit card debt off faster and with no interest until 2026? And it's true because TrueMark Financial is offering 0 interest on balance transfers for 12 months. So all of your payments can go towards reducing that balance, not just covering your interest. So if you're buying what I'm selling, settle in because here's all you need to do. Transfer all of your existing debt balance from another institution to a TrueMark Financial Visa credit card and take advantage of this amazing offer. If you hurry, look, you only have a few days left now, or 1 month, I should say, a few weeks left. February 28th of 2025. Whether you're interested in earning rewards, cash back, or if you simply prefer a low rate for everyday purchase, with TrueMark Financial, you can choose the credit card that best fits your financial needs. Again, that's 0% interest until 2026. Visit TrueMark.com/compare for full details and to apply today. TrueMark Financial, federally insured by NCUA, equal opportunity lender. Terms and conditions apply. All loans subject to approval. 3% balance transfer fee applies.
Zach, we've got some news.
Yes.
That could potentially change the scope of this matchup significantly.
We'll see. A.J. Brown is not on the practice field right now. He is dealing with a knee injury. Now, Jeff McClain from the Inquirer says that the expectation is that Brown will play on Sunday from what I understand, but he's obviously dealing with a knee injury and will receive maintenance. This has been lingering for Brown. Brown was on the practice field to start yesterday and left early. He was officially limited in practice. And
this is the third time this season, I believe, that something has happened during practice with A.J. Brown.
Yes. But this knee has been going on for about 4 weeks now. And I can tell you A.J. Was particularly interested in the off week, in resting last week.
Yep.
He has made repeated comments when asked about player injuries. He's like, everyone's got something right now, in reference to him dealing with something too. So this is not something to be ignored. Now, perhaps this is maintenance. He'll go out there through this. But I will say, last year going into the playoff game, it really didn't come up until the Saturday that he wasn't going to play.
Mm-hmm.
It was like they were hoping up, and they had a Monday game, so Saturday would be a Friday for the game last year. But I remember being at that Saturday practice when it was determined that A.J. wouldn't play.
Because he got hurt the week before during the game,
Yes,
but it wasn't
exactly.
obviously going to rule him out.
Yes.
Right?
But by the way, that was one of the things. I wouldn't say that's the reason why they traded him, but he dealt with chronic knee stuff in Tennessee, and he's been healthy here in Philly. But that was the issue with him and the Titans.
Zach, would you say that's also why he didn't speak yesterday? He often speaks Wednesdays.
No, he usually speaks Thursdays.
Oh, does he?
So
Okay,
my guess is he's
okay,
not going to
gotcha.
speak now. DeVonta usually speaks Fridays.
Gotcha.
DeVonta said yesterday, let's just get this over with. There's people crowding around his locker. A.J., I'll be in the locker room tomorrow.
He said yesterday, I'll get you tomorrow.
A.J. said, I'll get you tomorrow?
That's what he said yesterday.
Okay. My guess is he doesn't get them today.
No, I don't think so.
Friday's going to be interesting. I'm sure Nick's going to love those questions.
One takeaway I saw from DeVonta was they asked him if the Green Bay secondary is different with Jair Alexander out, and he said, yeah. And then then when he was asked how, he was like, I'll just leave it at that. So he didn't want to say Carrington Valentine is garbage or whatever, but
yeah. I mean, that would be funny if he did.
That would be, yeah.
But,
By the way,
this AJ thing it would completely change the game.
No,
yes,
obviously.
Yeah,
yes,
no question. That's
okay. Well, with that in mind, if he did miss this game,
yep,
the Eagles would lean even more into the running game.
Yep.
This is the team with the highest percentage of designed runs in the league. This Packers run defense, pretty good by the numbers. We haven't really talked about the personnel of the Packers up front.
Yep.
But what makes them good against the run?
They're really stout up front. I think when you look at this defensive line as a whole, they have underperformed from a production standpoint. A lot of former first-round picks up front. I think they were expecting a lot more production from this group.
Gary Rashawn, Clark Kenny.
Yep.
Wyatt.
Van Ness Lucas. Wyatt Devontae is another good one.
Yeah.
Van Ness, by the way, got shredded in your notes.
Van Ness isn't good. Yeah, he's
You're
not
talking
a
about
good
Johnny
player.
Tryhard.
Yeah,
I think.
he's not a good player.
Yeah.
But I think when you look at that group, they were expecting more, especially with the change in defense. They were expecting because they went from Joe Barry to Jeff Hafley, and the thought was, it's going to be more one gap, like get upfield. This deep, they're going to cut this group loose, and they just didn't get that pass rush production. Kenny Clark is usually a really good player. He had a down year this year, so I think when you look at this overall, they're stronger against the run. So I would say they're really stout up front. The linebackers are so fast closing downhill. It's a really fast group, and they've been a really good tackling back seven. I think they're like 5th or 6th in terms of tackle rate coming into this game. So I think when you look at those three things, I would say that's why they've been so good against the run. But I would say the big things, TJ Slayton is the nose tackle, really stout inside. If you look at their numbers, inside runs over the last 6-7 weeks, the yards before contact, it's very, very minimal. So they're not giving up any kind of ground inside.
And Slayton's usage seems very similar to Jordan Davis,
yes.
right? He'll make a play on first down, and then he'll come running off the field.
It comes out.
Wyatt comes in.
Very excitedly running off the field.
Slayton is the Jordan Davis in this scenario. And then again, those linebackers, they come downhill with a fury.
They are third in the league in yards per yards before contact allowed per rush. Eagles are second in the league in yards before contact per rush. So that little just collision at the line of scrimmage is going to be interesting.
Immovable
Who wins
object
that.
versus
Yes.
unstoppable force.
It's also the one thing that they're consistently good at, like success rate wise. They're 7th in stopping the run success rate. They're only 20th in success rate against the pass. The reason that their pass numbers are good is because of all the interceptions. Right. But against the run, they've just been consistently good.
Zach, did an interesting nugget from Lane Johnson yesterday that may or may not be true.
Sure, yeah. But just real quick on the linebackers, Edgerrin Cooper was named NFC Defensive Player of the Month today.
Wow.
Had a real strong close to the season. Yeah. Missed time going into December and has been scorching ever since then. That's why he earned that honor.
Real quick, the next gen numbers from Cooper, just on that point. In the last 4 games, so over the last month, 6 pressures allowed, the fewest receptions over expectation. That's that next gen stat among linebackers in that span. The highest run stuff rate amongst qualifying linebackers in that stretch as well. So this is a guy that matches up in coverage against running backs. He's a really good blitzer, plays against the run. I mean, he's been all over the field for that team. So that's a good note.
Yeah, so Lane Johnson, when he was talking about the Packers defense and kind of some of the changes over the course of the season, he said, quote, "I think their approach might be different with Saleh being there." Saleh being Robert Saleh, the former Jets coach. He said, "More of a penetrating defense than a 2-gap." Now, the published reports have suggested Robert Saleh had been working, giving the Packers offense a defensive perspective, similar to Vic Fangio going into the Super Bowl for the Eagles. Of course, it also came out this week that Luke Getsy, their former offensive coordinator, has been helping. So maybe
all hands on deck.
Yeah, LaFleur's bringing all the boys back. But that was an interesting note regarding Saleh, especially because it conflicts with maybe what you see on film. Deniz?
I was going to ask Fran. I mean, I didn't see a whole lot of. I think Lane was saying that there was more 2-gapping earlier in the season. It wasn't Hafley's past, like strictly 1-gapping.
I think
and B, just looking at I just looked very quickly at every single front they played in week 1. And once in a while they'd have Wyatt right over the guard as a 2-tech or something, but they still have that. So I didn't see any difference.
Yeah, I don't think it's a huge change from week 1 to now from that standpoint. He might be thinking about it as because Lane has faced Green Bay a number of times in his career and say it's less 2-gapping than what I think of with the Green Bay defense. So he may have been thinking of a big picture as well.
I also think this is something that Stout must have brought up in a meeting or something, because Cam Jurgens also referred to how they have different coaches in there, so it looks a little different. He didn't name a name, but he said they have different coaches, and so there's a So
I could see Stout bring that. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, one thing that the Eagles have in their advantage in the running game that they haven't had for most of the season, Deniz, your boy Dallas Goedert. You've been preparing these stats.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert.
The biggest reason why the run game has been so successful this year.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert's impact on the run game has been huge. On all Eagles running back rushes this year, so I'm taking out the quarterback runs, with Goedert on the field rather than off, the Eagles go from 25th in success rate to 3rd. So if you just take the runs where he's not on the field, they would be 25th. With him, they're 3rd. In EPA per rush, they go from 9th to 1st. Now, you say, okay, well, what about Saquon? Just Saquon rushes. Saquon rushes, without Dallas Goedert, Saquon would be the 15th most successful in the league. With Dallas Goedert, he goes to 1st. EPA per rush goes from 6th to 1st when Dallas Goedert is off versus on. And then some people pointed out on Twitter that, well, Jalen Hurts didn't play in some of the games that Dallas Goedert missed, so was that the reason? So I filtered for with Jalen Hurts on the field. Just looking at Saquon rushes with Jalen Hurts on the field, Dallas Goedert off versus on, Saquon with Jalen goes from 10th to 1st in success rate, 2nd to 1st in EPA per rush, but the EPA per rush, actual number, jumps up a lot. It goes from 0.06 to 0.20. And then if you just want to look at old school yards per carry, 5.4 jumps up to 6.6. And on the film, when you see CJ Uzomah just not blocking the guy right in front of him, and Grant Calcaterra getting beat on a backside block and things like that, it matches the eye test. I mean, I'll let Fran agree or disagree with that.
No, I mean, I've been saying for a while since Goedert went on IR, that's where they miss him the most. And so the fact that backs up the eye test was good to see.
The only thing that I had prepared here, because you were going to bring this up last week, and I had to go dig in, find this old notebook. And
How many of those do you have, Bo?
I think this is number 5.
Okay.
I knew you were going to use this as a way to bury Saquon and say that like this is a
By
guy,
saying
He's a
that
product of
Saquon's the
he's
best,
he's a
the
product
most
of
productive
Dallas
running back in the
Goedert.
league.
Yeah, like Goddard's really the one who's responsible for his success. I just wanted to also do the same exercise for Saquon, no Saquon, and what difference?
Saquon, no Saquon.
Yeah, Saquon, no Saquon.
No one is arguing that Saquon is not better than Kenny
maybe
Gainwell.
Saquon makes a bigger difference than Dallas Goedert does.
Well, first of all, did you filter for backup offensive line in the game, and did you filter for Goedert on?
The success rate difference is 51% to
I'm prepared-
36%.
I'm prepared for
in
this.
the running game, it's 52% to 36%.
How many
EPA per run is 0.14 to
Bo.
negative 0.12.
Here's the problem with this.
This is where Vinny jumps out.
Kenny Gainwell has 14 rushes this season with Dallas Goedert on the field. 14. So the point is that he's getting a lot of those rushes late in the game where they're resting Dallas and that kind of thing. And so it's hard to do that comparison. Also, no one is saying that Saquon isn't better than Kenny Gainwell.
Well, no one's saying that Dallas Goedert isn't better than Grant Calcaterra.
Yeah, but this much better? 25th to 3rd or whatever?
I'm just saying, clearly one of them is a little bit more important.
Comparison's the thief of joy.
Dallas
Yes, and.
Dallas
They're both
Goedert
important.
was the tight end on the team that was first in EPA per rush in 2022. Where was Saquon that year? I'm just saying, man. The running game is a team thing.
I do want to ask you guys, while we're talking about the Giants real quick, do you think when they watch this game this weekend, are they feeling the pain of Saquon not being there more or Xavier McKinney not being there more?
I think it was dumber for them to let Xavier McKinney go.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes. Agree.
He's legitimately good. Like I can see why he was the player we were talking about that the Eagles should go after the most in free agency this past year. He is a difference-making safety.
8 picks this year.
This
in
might
lot
be
of
a good
different ways.
segue to ask the question: if you guys could make a starting 11, offense and defense, from players in this game, what Packers would be on part of your 22?
This is like year one at PHLY Sports.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I think-
without doing it as a draft,
Yeah.
just 11 personnel on offense,
Okay.
and
We're gonna
nickel
start
on
with a very
defense.
heated-
Who's the quarterback?
Yeah, I was just gonna say we're opening up a can of worms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, to me,
I
it's like
know
it's-
who Fran.
I think it's.
I know who
I think
Fran's
it's-
quarterback
I
is.
think it's Xavier McKinney.
Good idea. Start there.
Is
Start
probably
start safety.
CJ?
Rashawn Gary.
Oh, we're talking which Packers would make it.
Right.
Yeah.
Which Packers would make?
Yeah, I would say Rashawn Gary.
Okay. Xavier McKinney. And Jordan Love, and that's about it.
A third wide receiver would have to come from the Packers. The third wide receiver would not be
Jaden
Jaden
Reed. Jaden Reed would absolutely be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would Walker make it over Dean?
I think either of
Yeah,
them. I
that's
would
the
take
other one,
Walker
yeah.
or Cooper over Dean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we're playing 3 linebackers, both
Sure.
both those guys would.
And Kenny Clark would
don't
make it
think
over
so.
Milton?
Not this year. I think
We're
I would take
interested.
Milton. I take Milton right now over Kenny Clark.
Okay.
You can weigh in if you go over to allphly.com. If you happen to be watching this episode on fast on your television, we got a lot more to come. So go check it out on allphly.com.
Deniz, why would you take Josh Jacobs over Saquon Barkley?
Good question.
So for the off the record, before week 1, I asked Fran if he would rather have Jalen Hurts or Jordan Love, and then I regretted, because we did a show together before that game.
Yep.
I regretted not asking you on the show. Why would you take? I would not take Josh Jacobs over Saquon Barkley. Why would you? Why do you take Jordan Love over Jalen Hurts?
I think when you look at the overall skill set for Jordan Love and what he does, look, that system, as I led the show off on Tuesday, or led the discussion off on Tuesday, that scheme, that system is one of the best in football. But Jordan Love, I think from a physical skill set, in terms of how he navigates the pocket, you talk about the arm talent and all that, but I think in terms of how he operates the position, I think he does it at a higher rate. I think he does it better than Jalen Hurts does.
If I can just interject real quick.
I mean, you had the big. You'd rather be good against zone than man. One guy's better against zone.
I think one guy's offensive coordinator and play caller is much better against zone than man.
That's what makes.
I've been on Kellen Moore fraud watch the whole season. And I can't.
It's so weird for you to put it all on Kellen Moore.
I'm not putting it all on him, but this offense.
You just saw what he did in Week 18.
This offense was 13th by DVOA. If I had told you that before the season started with this roster, that there would not be a major injury to anybody, and
it's incredibly disappointing.
This team would be 13th in DVOA. Would you think that Kellen Moore would be a hot head coaching candidate? Not that he necessarily is, but that he's getting these interviews. I find it similar to how Gannon was getting interviews after 21 when the defense was 25th.
Talk about the attractiveness of a guy that we actually cover.
What?
He's saying is Kellen Moore a hot head coaching candidate, and I'm
that one went over my head. Yeah, I just want to give a quick update here, and then you can get back to talking about Kellen Moore's candidacy for head coaching jobs, because we are not on the practice field. We're obviously in studio right now. It seems
practice field is just that way.
Yeah, it seems the beat writers that are on site are consistently putting out this message. I'm reading E.J. Smith, Dave Zangaro. Is that my understanding is Brown will be a DNP today with a knee rest designation and that he's expected to play Sunday. Dave Zangaro said the Eagles expect him to play on Sunday. They are managing him to get as healthy as they can for the Packers game. I don't want to go into all that.
A.J. Brown is going to play on Sunday t-shirt.
So I think this is, I would imagine behind the scenes, the Eagles are trying to make it clear that, look, don't be alarmed. They're managing AJ. Brian Westbrook didn't practice during the week, and so my guess is that there would be more ambiguity coming from the reporters at NovaCare right now if AJ wasn't playing.
And Zach's pretending he didn't get a text, but when every single beat reporter tweets exactly the same news at the exact minute, you know that news is coming directly from
they're all there in person.
Yeah, they're all there in person.
Okay.
I frankly would have loved it if I got a text. I
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Zach.
Zach, you were talking about off air that like Jalen, the way that he's wired, he might not love the idea that the team was doing well without him necessarily. Not that he was rooting against them in any way, but he likes to be the guy coming back. But I think that there's a twist to it now where it's like he has a chance. This concussion thing has lingered on. He has a chance to come back, and there are plenty of doubters.
Yeah, and Jalen loves that. Jalen was ready after that game against Pittsburgh.
See, huh?
Yeah, is that what y'all wanted to see?
Yeah.
And through the years, he's enjoyed. This is me speaking here. The myth making component of it, right? And to his credit, he's often come through in these situations. But he has, I think that you're gonna see a Jalen Hurts who wants it to be I'm back. All right. I think there's gonna be that Michael Jordan component to him.
How is this defense, the Packers defense? How are they prepared for the quarterback run game?
They've been very good against scrambles. Their success rate against the quarterback scramble is, I believe, 5th in football. What I was going to ask Zach was along those lines, how conservative or aggressive do you think they will be with the game plan in terms of design QB runs with Jalen in this game?
Well, that's a good question because, look, you never want to suffer another concussion, right? Or any concussion is bad, but there is data that suggests the incidence of 2 concussions within a period of time and how that can affect you. So, I think that you never want a guy to suffer a concussion, but you especially don't want a guy to suffer a concussion when he had one 3 weeks ago. So I think that there'll be an overemphasis on not taking any hits to the head. And I also think internally, they don't think that the hit that got him to get the concussion was getting hit with the helmet. It was getting hit it was his head on the turf.
Right.
And so that can often come when you're close to contact. Yeah. Or getting sacked, things like that. So I think there's going to be, I think he's going to be especially mindful of not taking hits.
So I went through and, obviously we talked about the run game numbers for the Packers defense since week 10. Now, I didn't go and watch every single run against them since week 10, but what I did do was say, all right, because they played against Miami, which is one of the worst run teams in football. They had another team or two on there that was one of the worst run teams in football as well. So I went and I watched, what did Kyle Shanahan want to do against them? What did Ben Johnson want to do against them structurally from a run game standpoint? And it felt like those teams wanted to take the approach of, we don't want to run straight downhill into the teeth of this defense. We want to run to the outside. I'll be very interested to see what the Eagles' plan of attack is here in this game. We've seen them in recent weeks with Saquon do a lot of the perimeter type runs, a lot of the pin pull sweeps, a lot of the outside zones, a lot of those stretch tosses. I do think that that's something that they will probably try and lean on in this game. One thing that, Deniz, I know you and I have bemoaned this when they've done this, especially early on in the season, where they come out in 11 personnel, 3 receivers on the field, but everybody's tight and condensed. I think that plays into Green Bay's hands just because, number one, I talked about how good they are inside, but then also if everybody's tight,
you're inviting defenders.
Yeah, you're inviting defenders, and because Quay Walker, Edgerrin Cooper, those guys are so explosive, you're not giving them a lot of ground that they have to make up, so they can get there so fast.
And the Eagles receivers are not like the Rams receivers where they're willing or good blockers.
Yeah, Cooper Kupp isn't walking through that door to block those guys. So I think when you look at this game, I think that it's more perimeter run base. I think that it's more spread you out, and that goes into the empty aspect of it too. And when I think about empty, that's why I asked about the QB run game. Yeah. And I wonder if that's something where we see those QB draws, those QB traps, getting Jalen downhill in this game. So that's something I'm certainly going to have my eye on.
To relate this to week 1, the Eagles had one of their worst games of the year running the ball by EPA per rush and by success rate. Saquon did end up with over 100 yards, but if you take out his 34-yarder, he averaged a little over 3 yards per carry. The Packers were especially contained the QB run game, as you're talking about QB run game. On inside zone read keepers, Jalen had 0 yards on 4 carries.
I remember this early season.
So it was like 2, 1, 0, and -3. He ran into a blitzing nickel on one of them. Quay Walker and Javon Bullard were both scraping around the read man on one, and Jalen kind of just ran right into them. He just flat out made the wrong read on one. And then Devontae Wyatt beat Landon Dickerson on the backside of one. So it's different reasons that it didn't work, but they completely contained that. And then they ran 2 QB draws that went for a total of 9 yards. Neither one went for a first down. And that was it in terms of Jalen keeping the ball on designed runs. And then one thing we've seen throughout the year from the Eagles, more and more as the year has gone on, is those counter runs, the gap scheme runs. It was a very heavy zone in that game. They only ran 2 gap scheme runs the whole game. They ran tackle power once with Lane Johnson pulling and blocking Quay Walker. That went for 5 yards. They only ran counter 1 time. And this was actually something I was going to ask you about, Fran. It went for 2 yards because Landon got confused and blocked the same guy that Lane was already blocking. Landon was a puller on the play.
Right.
And I think he got confused because they were running a TE stunt. And I know that Green Bay runs stunts at a pretty high rate.
Very high, 5th in the league,
Yeah, do you think that's the stunts are something in general, not just for this game, but in general, like football knowledge-wise, something that affects the run game more than maybe people think? Like, I know people think of it as a pass rush thing.
No, but I mean the slanting, that's been one of the things that has hurt this Eagles offensive line over the last several weeks. We've talked about some of the issues they had against Washington running the football, some of the issues they had the following week against Dallas running the football, where it's like, you would expect that they should chew up this team on the ground, and it wasn't until late in the game where you saw Saquon start to bust some of those loose. A lot of the stunting and the twisting, it can mess with blocking assignments, and you think you're passing a guy off, and that's whether that's zone blocking or gap scheme blocking. That can certainly mess with those assignments. I do think that this is probably, I think counter will be a game. They'll run it more than once in this game, would be my guess.
I also think so. from a play calling perspective, I know as that game progressed in week 1, they were especially cognizant of the turf and different movements. So like anecdotally, I think the reason why the quarterback sneak didn't work by the goal line was because of the turf.
So I didn't even talk about the sneaks. The sneaks were a disaster that game.
Yeah. So if you want to know how this game's going to be different, one thing will be the turf.
A couple super chats to get to. DJ, a.k.a. Mr. Sandman, says, this referee team calls roughing the passer at a high percentage. They also don't call offensive holding often. The quarterback should be safe. Good insight.
Great insight.
This is Brad Allen.
Oh, jinx.
Brad Allen, who I think if you don't know, you'll recognize him. He's the one who looks like a toddler became an adult.
I mean, all of us are toddlers that became adults.
No, but like he looks like it happened just at the snap of a finger.
Some more than others.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it. I don't really see it.
It looks like a toddler face.
Okay.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Come on.
You look more like Arthur Smith than Brad Allen looks like a toddler. Looks like a toddler.
We've also got from I can't tell who this is from. Just super chat. The Lewis Cine signing. The Cine signing has my antenna up regarding the Nakobe Dean nebulous abdominal injury. Any sense of Nakobe Dean's status, Zach?
Yeah, I don't think these two things are related. First off, Cine plays safety and Dean plays linebacker. So I would think that if they were worried about Dean, you would see maybe a Dallas Gant activation, signed to the 53 or something like that. But no, Dean was a full participant in practice yesterday, spoke after practice. I'm expecting Dean to be on the field playing on Sunday.
We also got a question here from Ben who wants to know if Zach is doing any book signings coming up.
Appreciate the question, Ben. I mostly have kept. I don't want to say turned down. I've politely passed up on most
New year, new you.
On most requests for January because of the playoffs, because I haven't known if they were going to have Saturday or Sunday games. I really don't like when I commit to something and then have to adjust thereafter. It gives me a lot of anxiety when I can't be in two places at once. I have a private signing coming up next week.
Wow, none of us got the invite to the private signing.
Yeah, private.
No, it's
Fran,
like
do you even have your book yet?
No, I don't have a book.
No, it's not. I'll give you a book. It's not for a public place. It's like a private place.
I understand what the word private means. It's
so that's not open. It's not open to the public, and that's like a dinner event where I'm speaking at.
Wow.
Okay. I've done a few of these.
The Stonecutters.
No, I've done a few of these.
Big deal.
Union League going over there.
The Freemasons.
I did one at the Union League earlier this year, but not for the Union League. It was a business group that had an event at the Union League that I spoke at. I love doing.
What's the dress code on that?
I wore
naked.
I did not wear a tie. I wore a jacket, a shirt.
Didn't wear a tie.
No tie.
That fits.
Yeah, I was gonna wear a tie. Actually, I got overruled.
Just a tie.
No. To answer your question, I have some coming up after.
Moose has a private signing. So
No. I have some coming up after the season, and who knows? Depending on the success of the Eagles season, I might need to take 12 weeks not to do signings and do some other work. So,
what is this book?
What's the book I'm signing?
Yes. In case people don't know.
The franchise Philadelphia Eagles: A Curated History of the Birds.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Anything else that you guys want to squeeze out of the lemons of this matchup?
One thing, we talked a little bit about the pressures. Deniz mentioned that they do it the same way that the Eagles do. It's a lot of exchange pressures, linebackers coming from depth inside with defensive ends or defensive tackles dropping out. So it's still a four-man rush. One thing they love to do with this, and this goes hand in hand with the stunt conversation, they often, if they're blitzing Quay Walker, if they're blitzing Edgerrin Cooper, they will use it as part of a twist with a defensive tackle inside. So it's Quay Walker pinning the guard and then the defensive tackle looping around it. That's added stress for not just the offensive line, but for the running back to be involved with it. Was it the Kenny Pickett touchdown to DeVonta? I think it was in the Dallas game.
Where Gainwell comes up.
Where Gainwell stepped up and blocked both. And I would say you're going to need to do lots of that in this game.
It was that one.
Yeah, the linebackers are very involved in the pressure scheme. They're both very good blitzers, but they do the twists off of it. It's another added layer of complexity.
And a lot of pirate stunts as well, where the guy's coming around, or what Greg Cosell calls a long stunt.
The long stunt. But here's the thing with the long stunts too, and this again goes back to Jalen Hurts and the poise in the pocket. If Jalen starts to drift one way or think he's going to, a lot of teams will, if they are big stunting teams, they're strategic with how they call their stunts. Where, hey, you know what, the quarterback likes to roll right if he's pressured from his left, or if he's got pressure coming from this way, he likes to escape that way. They will run a stunt, especially with these linebackers, where, all right, we're going to force him out and we're going to have somebody there waiting for him. That would be something to watch here in this game. They've been very good at that in recent. That's one of the reasons why I think they are very good against the scramble, is that they are very selective with how they use those stunts.
And this is somewhat related to this. Jordan Mailata was on WIP earlier this week, and he talked about how another thing they like to do a lot is to stem the front late. He said they shift from an over front to an under front at the last second.
Yep.
And that's caused false starts, and it causes confusion in the running game
stuff. Yep, no
as well.
question.
So that's probably something you've noticed on film as well.
Yep, that's a good point.
Anything else from you, Deniz, that you want to? We've got you tomorrow, so we've got some other stuff. But is there anything else you want to pick Fran's brain on before we move on?
No, I think
Okay.
I think we've hit everything. Yeah.
You generally feel good about this matchup?
Yeah. So you asked me the other day, all right, do you feel better or worse about it? I would say this side of the matchup gives me more angst than the other side. I think the other side, I think you feel really good. This is the one where I'm like, even though
that's more about the Eagles,
if
right?
you were, because if you were to stack up the 4 units and power rank them, I would say that the Packers defense is the weakest of the 4 from a talent standpoint, and I think the numbers kind of bear that out. But I think that this is a styles make fights kind of matchup where the things that Green Bay does, I think, could give Jalen Hurts in this passing game some trouble.
To tie the
Whereas
bow
on the other side of the ball, the things that the Packers offense does, the Eagles defense handles.
Yeah, that's why missing Christian Watson's not huge for them because they weren't going to get explosive plays against the defense anyway over the top. Yes.
Roster wise, to tie the bow, this is speaks to both sides of the ball, but to tie the bow, yeah. Do you normally think of yourself when someone says that?
Of course, that's my name. You're saying my name out loud. Yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah. What about when you hear bow as part of one syllable of a word? It's not the whole word.
Of course, my ears perk up. Yes.
So Debo Samuel.
Less so.
Okay. All right. It sounded like we agree that of the 22 players, maybe 4 would be from Green Bay, maybe 5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So would you say that if this is a loss, it's on the coaches?
I would have to see it. I would have to see
how it
it.
goes.
I will push back because I'm going to go to something Fran said earlier, and it's a point that I made on Anthony's show today, which is for as confident as Eagles fans are, and I know, VG was confident, and they played Darren Sproles on Kay Adams, and he's confident, and there was 4 people on me before who were saying the Eagles are going to blow out the Packers, and I just go to what Fran said, and it's the absolute truth. This is one game, okay, and this is a high level quarterback. A quarterback can get hot, and that's so. To answer your question, could it be on the coaches? If Jordan Love gets hot, we've seen quarterbacks can take over games. That's number one. Number 2, the Eagles have been so sound at tackling this stretch, and we saw this in that first Packers game. You miss one tackle, a 10-yard play becomes a 70-yard play, and it changes the complexion of the game. Is that this game, the over-under is 45.5. Vegas is not expecting this game to be scored in the 30s. Is that if there's one explosive play, a 3rd and 8, and you fail to bring the guy down and he takes it, it can change the entire game. So I'm not saying I'm not deifying the Packers here.
Right.
I'm not saying that the Eagles are going to lose. What I'm saying is that this is a real tough opponent for the Eagles in round 1.
And by the way, too, because I've gotten the same kind of pushback, Zach, when it comes to talking about the Packers, and that's how coaches and players think, and how scouts think when you're going into these kind of matchups. You're not going, we're going to blow this team out. You're looking at the things that this team does well. What are the things that are going to give us problems? What are the things that we have to stop? I think that's you're going into this matchup. There are a lot of ways that Green Bay can win. I still think that the Eagles do win this game, but there are a lot of paths where I could say this is how Green Bay would win it.
Yeah, to that point, there's only been one time in my time covering the team when they went into a playoff game where I kind of felt inside they felt they were going to blow the team out, and that was the Giants 2 years ago. I going to that game, they felt really good about those matchups. I think this is a team that there's a lot of healthy respect for.
I do feel and I said this to Anthony earlier in the week. I think the most realistic way that this game starts is the Packers take the lead early. The Eagles start slow. The Packers have a really good opening script that and the Fangio defenses have been a little bit looser in the first quarter than as the games go on. And it's 10-0 at the end of the first quarter, and then the Eagles have to work their way back. This is not going to be an easy game, I don't think.
And the Packers are going to try to slow it down. Packers are going to try to control the clock. They're going to try to run the ball. Yeah, so
Packers also went on the road and beat the NFC East champs last year. This is it's the most of the same group, right? That they're not going to be afraid of the moment. It's not going to be too big for them from that.
Matt LaFleur's been good in these opening round games in these last 6 years, the last 5 years.
All right, we still have a lot more to come on this show, and so before we even get to Swooper, Julia, we received a package. Several packages.
Wait, did I miss something in a tease because I saw in the chat?
I have no idea what this is. I believe it's on behalf of the Sickos.
Are you sure? Have these gone through security?
No, this could be.
So it's safe. They're safe.
This is Julia, everybody. Julia, thanks for joining.
A Julia reveal. It says Bo Wulf and Zach Berman. Oh, Bo Wulf. What is that one?
Bo Wulf and Zach Berman.
Oh. Is this
Bo
from...
Wulf and Zach Berman.
We're leaving Fran out?
Who's this from?
One is just for me. I don't know. Here.
Shout out to Amazon.
Shout out to Amazon.
Yeah, because they really
That's
needed
your
your
takeaway.
they
Not
really
thank
needed
you
your
to the
shout-out.
listeners who sent you a gift. Shout out to Amazon. That is such a reveal.
No, I meant...
Are you kidding?
I don't. At this point,
God for Bezos.
at this point, I don't think that's a reveal.
I hope that's a pair of slippers you can wear inside.
why should I open this?
I feel like that. Open it now.
Open it now. Okay. It's for the listeners. Thank you, listen. I didn't realize
Did you
that.
think that Amazon sent it themselves?
I didn't know. I didn't know if this is something you purchased. What we got here?
Is that what it is?
Shoes.
Wow.
Thank you. Wow. Hey,
All
are
kinds
these house
of-
shoes? Thank you very much.
House shoes, yes. We've got some slippers, some
Slippers.
indoor shoes.
I appreciate this. I will wear this. Who do I write a thank you note to?
Oh, these are Zach's.
Oh, those are for Zach.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no,
these are
no.
Zach.
Those are for Zach.
Oh, nice.
No, I'm not
We
wearing
got
this.
some pink ones for
Not
Zach.
wearing those. Why not?
It clashes with anything I wear. Yeah, so.
Julia,
It clashes with anything you wear.
Yeah, I don't have.
I think we got to give the pink ones to Zach.
No.
What are those?
These,
Thank
say,
you so
these ones
much.
say Papa.
Ah, there you go.
Oh, okay, that's a bow item. Yeah. Yeah.
I'd rather wear the pink.
Thank
did
you
love
so
when
much.
Casey
Who do I?
appeared on the show
I'll
last
send a
night.
thank you note
I mean,
to.
I remain. I didn't get to ask you about the shoe situation. As baffling a thing that I've heard.
Yeah,
on the show.
that was one of the most surprising things I've ever heard you say, Zach.
It's not like a regular thing. I shouldn't have said it.
I mean,
But-
I'm Turkish. Imagine me hearing that. I mean, like going into the house with shoes.
It's not even the house. I can understand.
You get into the house, yeah.
The bed.
I don't
Into
get in the bed
Yeah,
with
You said
it.
they were next to the bed.
I mean, like the
Yeah,
very
you
said the
interior parts of the
bedroom.
house. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get in the bed. They're next
Well,
to
I
them because
mean-
I take them off before I get in the
Yeah,
bed.
but like
I don't lay in bed with shoes on.
I know, but
Yeah.
in the bedroom, that's wild.
Sorry. Yeah. Thank you so much, truly.
Oh, Claire says they're all for Zach, so these are all for you.
No, by all means, I
No,
would spin
please.
around. Claire, thank you.
Good
Shout
Lord
out to
knows you.
Awesome.
You need them.
I want to write a thank you note. To whom do I write a thank you note?
I think my guess is what they want for a thank you note is for you to wear the pink ones.
Yeah.
Why? First off, they're not going to see me wear these. So
Well, not if you don't send
and
pics.
then I think you're better off with the pink ones than me. I'm good with these. I've seen you
What the
wear
hell is
pink.
that supposed to mean?
I've seen you wear pink.
Yeah, I'm not afraid.
I'm not
of
afraid
my
of wearing
masculinity.
pink. It's not being afraid of masculinity. I just don't own any pink. If you want me to wear the pink shoes, I'll wear the pink shoes. I just don't.
Well, say in the chat whether you want Zach to wear the pink shoes or not. Okay, let's reset.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Beautiful.
It's very nice.
Swooper. Now, before we get to Swooper, we had the inactives game from last week
All right.
that had
the extra
one
turkeys.
turkey
Oh,
up for grabs. Now, this was interesting, and Fran and I had to talk about it because
Yeah.
Zach, you had 6 correct predictions among your 7 inactives. Fran and I only had 5. Fran and I both had a correct elevation with Chuck Harris that tied it up. And then you predicted Dallas Gant to be the signed to the active roster player, which
Yes.
I think by the rules of the game probably wouldn't have counted. And then we would have had to go to the tiebreaker, and Fran and I would have split a point. But I think that you should get credit for the Gant
thank you.
thing. And I think we're giving Zach this turkey.
I think so.
Okay,
I'm
so
so grateful. Thank you. That's nice. That's like that.
All you have to do for it is wear the pink shoes.
I will wear the pink shoes. That's fine.
There you go.
So
All right.
Zach gets
People have
an
spoken.
extra turkey this week. Now,
On that same topic for this game, by the way, just looking at the numbers.
yeah, what do you think?
The Eagles have the 53 full now, but they're allowed to dress 49, including the third quarterback. And when you look at the guys who are almost definitely going to be inactive, you've got Kennard, Keegan, Gates, Eli Ricks, almost surely, and then Lewis Seen. So that's 5 inactive, which means there is room for one practice squad player to get elevated and dress.
I would think Blasingame.
Maybe
right?
Blasingame, though they've only used him on like 2 snaps
Right.
in the games he played.
But he does play
Dow-
special teams.
I think
quite a bit.
Gant is the other.
Yeah, Gant is the other guy. So if they think one of them's much better at special teams than the other, maybe they
And
would
Michael
have
Clay
them.
did
Chuck
give-
Harris is the other possibility.
Yeah, I know.
But
I
it's
think they're going
it
to
seems
ride
unlikely,
the top 3
right?
guys so much.
Yeah.
Michael Clay did give Dallas Gant a shout out for his block on the long Isaiah Rodgers kickoff return. So
That might make the difference, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of fullback run
I think
game.
probably not.
Yeah.
I think it might be Gant. Okay. Last week, I only had 2 items. I had Tanner McKee does at least one of the following things: has a passer rating greater than 125, throws at least 2 more touchdowns and interceptions, scores a touchdown, or has a top 3 EPA per dropback for an Eagle this season. That did hit. And I had the Eagles defense combines for more sacks and turnovers than points, by which the Eagles are favored in the wild card round. As of the post-game show, it was 3.5. Didn't happen, though. No sacks in the game, so I had 1 item hit. Fran. Well, let's go to Zach first. Zach had Tanner McKee throws for more than 208 yards. Bang.
Boom.
X leads all Eagles defensive linemen in defensive snaps played. You chose Bryce Huff, and surprisingly, this did hit.
By 2.
I'm not surprised by it. I expected it to be Bryce Huff. That's why I bid on it.
For a whole 3 turkeys.
Don't be a jerk.
By virtue of bidding on it, it's something that I thought would happen.
Okay.
I wasn't throwing turkeys around that early in the game for no reason.
You also had Jahan Dotson is the solo leader among the Eagles in receiving yards and or receptions. Big game for Jahan Dotson. That hit. That's 3. And any Eagles player finishes with more receiving yards than his jersey number. You got that one too. Was that Shipley or Gainwell?
That was Shipley.
Oh, it was Dotson.
And that was both.
Yeah, Dotson did it too.
Yeah.
Dotson did it. Okay, so you hit that, and then you did not hit Johnny Wilson, leads all Eagles position players in targets, so you had 4. Now, Fran,
5.
the Eagles running backs, including fullbacks, combined for at least 102 rushing yards. Did not happen.
Yeah.
Drew Lock throws for fewer than 228 yards. That hit. Fewer than 82% of the kickoffs result in touchbacks. That did hit. The Eagles' wildcard opponent is the Packers. That did hit. And then you had the Daniel Popper one. The Eagles finished the season at least tied for first in scoring defense. Did not hit by the NFL's definition, but if you did the only points scored by the opposing offense, it would have counted. That would have made it a tie. Unfortunately, you fall 1 turkey short, and that means that we are all bunched together as we head to the playoffs. I'm at 5.83. Fran is at 5.33. Zach is at 4.83. And now the stakes rise.
Very much like the Eagles season. It was a nice, fun year, but time to get serious.
That's exactly right. So the points now, a weak win counts for 2 points, not 1 point. And we know that the season can end at any time. So,
then it goes up to 3, 4, and 5.
And then it goes up to 3, 4, and 5. Okay. So the stakes continue to rise, but we never know when the game ends. So the game theory meters are not meters, but it's all cranking in your head. Zach, how you feeling?
Excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Sound like it.
Dynamic.
Yeah.
All right. Zach, you get to go first this week. Now, Zach has 28 turkeys. He carried over 3, and then he got the 1 from the inactives game. I have 9 turkeys left over, so I have 33 turkeys.
Right.
And Fran, you are down 6 turkeys, so you have 18 turkeys.
Okay.
28, 33, 18, and away we go.
So my first one here is there are more points in the Eagles-Packers game than Penn State-Notre Dame. And what's interesting about this is the over-under for Eagles-Packers is 45.5. The over-under for Penn State-Notre Dame, 45. So odds make, and that's according to Bet365. So Bet365 has basically, the numbers the same here. So it gives you something to watch tonight, gives you something to watch Sunday. Sunday's game is expected to be colder, of course, than tonight's game. But as Fran said, that Notre Dame defense might be the best unit of the game tonight, but maybe of the 4 teams playing this like the biggest mismatch might be that Notre Dame defense.
See the report, the Notre Dame, they've got a flu bug going through the locker room.
Yeah, and then I saw a follow-up report that it's mainly like special teams players and bench players.
Yeah.
So it's like
it's like the Trevor Keegan illness.
Right.
Yeah. Like are those guys in different meeting rooms or something? Yeah. So I will start the bidding at 2.
And so this is that the Eagles game is
Eagles
more
Packers.
high-scoring.
There are more points.
More points in Eagles Packers
Yep.
than Penn State Notre Dame.
Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
Deniz can do the
2?
2.
3.
I'll say 4.
5.
Going once.
6.
7.
Going once. Going twice. Sold to Zach for 7.
Cool.
I kind of wanted that.
So he's down to 20.
Now, does that count as a 50-50 one? Because the over-under is basically the same.
pretty close.
Yeah.
All right. Mine. The longest play from scrimmage in this game for either team is a Saquon Barkley run. Packers' run defense hasn't given up a ton of explosive runs.
Yep.
But we know that if Saquon gets into the open field, what he can do. I'll start the bidding at 3.
A.J. Brown had a 67-yard touchdown in week 1.
Jaden Reed had a 70
Yep.
something. Yes.
That was against Jair Alexander in man coverage, too. So
The
Where are you
Packers,
going once?
Packers have not allowed a 75-yard rusher since their Week 10 bye.
Where are you
2?
going? I started at 3.
Oh, he started.
Started
Okay,
at
sorry, I
3,
didn't hear
yeah.
that.
3 going once. 3 going twice. Sold.
Did you want that one?
For 3, everything has a price.
Yep.
I know that.
Bo, you got it, right?
I got it.
Okay.
Saquon longest run. All right.
All right. So, thematically, the Eagles and Packers have faced 3 times in the playoffs in their history. So each of my 3 submissions all have something to do with one of the 3 games.
Oh, I like this.
Back in 1960, the 1960 NFL Championship game, the Eagles won 17-13. They were losing at the end of the first quarter. Then they scored 10 points in the second quarter and then traded touchdowns in the fourth quarter to seal the win. So my first submission, the Packers are winning at the end of the first quarter. We will start the bidding at 3.
I know Bo likes this one. You said earlier in the show. You
did.
thought that, yeah. I'll go 4.
I'll go 5.
Eagles like to defer.
It's true.
The Packers in Dallas last year won the coin toss and took the ball.
That's a great nugget.
Wow.
That's 6.
Up your own bid?
I think you did.
No, I'm joking.
You said 6.
I was
No,
doing
no,
that.
no, 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 no.
Bo, I was doing that for a
What
fact.
happened?
He bumped
He said 6.
I
Yeah?
can't outbid myself.
Sure
Bo.
you can.
No, I was
I'm pretty sure you upped your
You can bid at any point. It's an auction.
Absolutely.
I was doing that for a fact.
No, no, no.
That was a punchline.
No.
That was a punchline to what Deniz said.
I mean,
That's like
it is.
I mean, I don't.
That's a 6.
I mean,
just like
I
that. He
don't.
lost his track.
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna. I'll let
You know
Julia
what?
be the
That-
referee.
That,
on
I
this.
don't even think that's up for the debate.
I
It's
was
like,
expecting there
if you
to be
say
a
a number,
the way I said it was clearly meant in a tone.
but you were being honest about
As
it. It was
usual,
a
we
good-
should probably let the chat decide.
Yeah, I was saying it like
Yeah,
he said that. I was
I
like,
agree. That's
oh, that's a
6.
good number, 6, right? As I thought that would get a laugh. As
Everyone knows
opposed
6
to,
is a great number.
what's that?
6 is good.
6 going once.
Yeah, whatever. I mean,
7.
I figured Bo was going to try to screw me today.
Fran goes
somehow.
7.
7.
Okay, there we go.
Figure I just let that all play out.
Yeah, that was nice.
7 going once. Going
This is
twice.
8.
Oh!
8
long,
going
long
once.
2.
Going twice. Sold to Zach for 8. Zach is down to 12 turkeys.
13 because he got the
13.
extra. Yeah, from.
He had the extra one.
He
Okay.
had the extra. Yep. So Zach's down to 13. Bo's at 30. I'm still at 18.
Yep. All right. All of mine are going to be different format auctions today.
Okay.
The first one, we've been doing the complete the sentence ones.
Oh, I love the complete
This
sentence
one's a little different. We're going to have the auction first, and then the winner is going to get to complete the sentence.
Okay.
So the item is X and Y, where X and Y are any 2 players in this game. You can choose 1 from each team, 2 from the same team.
Oh man.
Will combine for at least 150 receiving yards. So we're going to have a normal auction,
Okay.
and then the winner of the auction is going to get to choose who X and Y are,
Okay.
the 2 players they think are most likely to add up to 150 yards.
This is a
Okay.
great one.
All right?
And well, this one's even better now with the
with
AJ
the
Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
great.
he's not playing.
So someone has to start the bidding.
I will
One.
start the bidding at 4. Okay.
5.
I'll say 6.
You can have it for 6. Unless Zach wants it.
Going once. Going twice.
This is a fun one.
Sold to Bo for 6.
luck,
I like
man.
how Zach just stays away from anything that's weird. Like he's just like
He's
I'll check some emails during this one.
Do I risk it with AJ?
Wow.
150. Do I want to
this
be
is tough.
DOA if he doesn't do it? I think I'm going to do.
Jahan Dotson.
I think I'm going to do.
John
I think I'm going to do AJ Brown and Jaden Reed.
It'd be even more fun if the loser chose the players, right?
It's a good idea for next week.
You chose
Chose AJ and
AJ
Jaden Reed.
Brown
Jaden
and
Reed.
Jaden Reed. Okay.
Could have gone DeVonta over AJ there, priced in the if AJ doesn't play, but you could make a case for AJ and DeVonta, but okay.
In week 1, AJ Brown had 119 yards. Jaden Reed had 138. So if that happens again, you will easily win this.
That's a fun one.
All right, Zach, over to you.
My next one here is Saquon Barkley and Dallas Goedert combined for more total yards than Josh Jacobs and Tucker Kraft. And this is rushing and receiving combined, of course, total yards. But for the purpose of, in case any technicalities, not including return yards, if one of them were to return
Yards
something.
from scrimmage.
Yards from scrimmage. I'll start the bidding at 2.
3.
4.
5.
6.
7.
8.
9.
10.
It's a good bid.
Going once.
It's a good bid, as if.
Going twice. Sold to Fran for 10. Fran, I know you didn't choose him over Dallas Goedert, but how obvious is it that Dallas Goedert is a better tight end than Tucker Kraft?
I think that Dallas gives you a little bit more juice vertically from a speed standpoint and athleticism standpoint. But Kraft is really good, and I think they're very close. Kraft is a really good blocker. He's, again, not as explosive and athletic, but he is a load to bring down. He's been one of the best yards after catch tight ends in football just because they get him the ball, and he's really hard to tackle.
All right. Zach down to 13 turkeys, 8 for Fran, 24 for me. And we go to the next item number 6, which is at some point in this game, the Eagles attempt to draw the Packers offsides.
By the way,
So-
I'll just say this. You've been mocking them since camp for this, but they've been doing this with some success recently.
Well, they did it. Yeah, they did it last week.
Yeah. Although I think the Giants did it on purpose.
You think so?
And
Okay. So we'll define this
Yeah,
as
how are we
gotta
defining
define
this?
this as the
Why?
Eagles,
'Cause
the Eagles
they just
line
wanted
up
the
to go
game to
for
end?
it and call a timeout.
Okay.
Take a delay of game,
or they
or they
successfully draw 'em off.
successfully draw them offsides
But what if
in a
they-
short yardage situation.
Okay, so it's got to be a short yard. So if it's 1st and 10 and somebody jumps offside,
Correct.
doesn't count.
Yes.
We're trying to define
It
intent.
is a beneficial offsides where it's either a first down or gets them in better field goal
Got it.
range, or they can go for it on 4th down, something like that. And I'll start the bidding here at 3.
Four.
3 going what? Ooh. I'll say 5. 5 going once. 5 going twice. Sold to the handsome man in the middle.
Deniz.
All right, over to you, Fran.
All right.
Let's go back to that 4th and 26 game.
Let's go to the 4th and 26 game. This one's easy. Either team converts on 4th and long. We're defining long as 8+ yards.
Okay.
So 4th and at least 8. Either team converts on 4th and long. We'll start the bidding at 3.
Matt LaFleur is one of the most cowardly coaches when it comes to fourth downs. He had 6 obvious goes, according to the Ben Baldwin model this year, and went for it on 1 of those 6.
4.
4th and long would be more of a desperation situation anyway.
But those count in here.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. Similar to 4th and 26.
So 8 counts, right? 8 or
8
more.
counts. Yep.
Okay.
Four going once.
Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm falling asleep on the
It's
auctioneer
okay.
job.
Four going twice. Sold to the handsome man in the end.
Who got it?
Zach. For 4.
All right.
Was that a joke? Or no?
No, I actually just zoned out. Sorry.
All right, over to you, Deniz.
All right. Item number 8. We've done similar to this in the past. This is a fixed price auction with an increasing item value as we go. And it's going to cost, I changed this, it's going to cost 5 turkeys to whoever wins. And the item is the Eagles hold the Packers to X points or less scored in the game. So I'm going to start at 0 and count up. Whoever yells swooper gets the item and pays 5 turkeys. So the longer I go, the more likely the item is to hit. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Wait, hold on. Is it inclusive?
So
It says or less, right?
Or less? Okay.
Yes. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17.
Swooper.
Was that at 16 or 17?
17. You got
17.
it.
Okay.
Wow.
It's a good one, Zach.
Thank you.
So that costs Zach 5. So he's down to 4.
Down to 4.
Yep.
I've got 8. Bo's got 19.
Yep. All right, Zach, over to you.
Okay. My next one here, my last one, I should say, is Jake Elliott does not miss an extra point or a field goal. And I'll start the bidding at 1.
2.
4.
5.
6.
In 2010, Andy Reid, after the game, said, we can all do the math after David Akers missed.
Zach, I do want to. The people are noting. I do want to congratulate you. You were very game and ready to get there first on that swooper at 17.
Well, we're in person here, so
Yeah.
so there's no question about the connection, and similar to how I did it last time. When I heard it, I said it, but there's no delay in me hearing it when we're all in person together.
6 going once. 6 going twice. Sold to me. 13. Elliott, no misses.
No more misses.
All right. I also have a unique auction.
Whoa. I didn't know we were allowed to
This
do
is a first.
Yeah.
This is the first ever strip swooper.
Oh,
I am
Where-
not participating in this. It's-
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no.
Where in order to bid
Oh, my God.
a turkey, you have to take a piece of clothing off. And the item here is the Eagles do not lose the game without also losing the turnover battle.
Eagles.
So the Eagles either win the game or they lose the game and lose the turnover battle.
This is so
Wait, all right,
unprofessional.
hold on. Say this one more time.
Wait, what?
The Eagles do not lose this game without also losing the turnover battle. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So
It's
they,
not
in
a.
order to win,
They don't
yeah.
lose the game straight up. Essentially, they have committed some turnovers. Okay.
And it's you win if they do not lose the game.
And a turkey is based on a body, like a piece of clothing you take off.
Yes, a piece of clothing. You have to take a piece of clothing off to bid a turkey.
Do shoes count?
Shoes count. Socks count.
So weird.
I will
And
start the bidding.
unprofessional.
He won't even take his shoes out to go in his bedroom. You don't think he's going to do it here?
Yeah.
I will start the bidding at 1.
Oh, my God. I can't believe this.
He knew this.
Oh, my
All right.
God. This is so
I'm not
Do
gonna
you
give it to
take
How
off
long
an
have you
item
been
with
sitting
each
on this?
turkey or with each bid?
With each
bid,
turkey.
you have to remove an item.
Each
of
bid. So
clothing.
but you can just bid something high and remove.
Also, I don't have to remove that many items,
Right.
right?
So you don't have to tie. You don't have
I
to
don't,
take two off.
I don't have to take
Oh,
two
wait,
items
no.
It
off here.
incentivizes
Oh, no,
you to
you
just
do,
say a
yeah.
really high number.
It says an item equals a number of clothing.
I just
So
thought
you
it's the
have to
next.
take-
I
you
thought
gotta
it's
take
like,
off both shoes if you want to get to 2.
all right,
Oh,
I'll take both
jeez.
shoes off here too. Okay.
Have you seen my shirt, Deniz?
See now,
I cannot
here's
see
the. I mean, he came in with all these layers of
Yeah,
clothes.
yeah. This is,
If I had known this, I would have worn like
Seriously.
3 pairs
Wait,
of
I
pants.
still can't
like,
see it.
yeah.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
Yes.
Love it. How many of those did you have made?
I have one for you. I have 2.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you took 2 shoes off?
Yeah, I took 2 shoes off.
You got to get that sock out there.
Okay.
I'll take off 2 shoes.
But isn't this that's only 2 turkeys? You have to do 3.
Well, I already took this off.
But that's
No.
No, the total number of
okay. All right.
so basically 2 at a time.
Okay.
okay.
All right. Then I will take off my watch and my Aura ring. Okay. So there you go.
Well, you can only bid 4. Oh, yeah,
Julia,
yeah,
did
yeah,
you
yeah,
did you
yeah,
know
yeah.
about this?
The
Yeah.
Aura ring?
Yeah. The ring is yeah.
I don't know if
That's,
an Aura ring should count, but okay.
so that's I'm at 4.
Because if you go in now, you're gonna have to go 5
I know.
items off.
Yeah, I know. I'm not prepared to do this.
All right. I did in preparation go Cliffy 2 socks.
This is
here.
unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
2 socks gone. I've
Fran,
got
you don't wear
5.
2 socks in the winter?
No.
Really?
Yeah.
Your feet don't get cold?
I
Like
mean,
walking
they do,
around
but
outside?
I
Zach
don't-
can't bid
I don't,
anymore, unfortunately.
I'm okay.
Oh yeah. All right. Thank goodness.
You're out.
Yeah, I'm out.
All right.
I didn't
Wow.
come prepared for this.
Got it for 5.
Unbelievable.
So this whole show, you've been wearing all these layers. Yeah.
Yeah, I came prepared for Swooper today.
I'm gonna do something real esoteric next week. That
So what was that? Well, I didn't even write down
The Eagles
the,
don't lose without also losing the turnover battle.
Okay.
Bo's down to 8, I believe. Fran
Yes.
also at 8.
Yeah.
Correct.
Zach at 4.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the people saying that shoes aren't clothing, but, I don't think we were going to get Zach to participate otherwise.
I mean, I consider accessories.
You could have gone jacket,
Yeah, but that I would have to take multiple at that point. I consider accessories part of your outfit.
That's what. Yeah, I knew I could only go so high. Like there was
Yeah.
no point in me even starting to
Seriously.
go.
So it's like the watch is with the bomber, right? So it's like it's all
The watch is
yeah.
with the bomber. Okay.
Yeah. So
All right. Over to you, Fran.
2010.
I don't think I've ever been angrier on an episode.
I mean, I didn't make it like
2010.
the Eagle, like Saquon Barkley has a run in the game.
Yeah.
This is the
2010.
only playoff game at the link that I did not attend.
Really?
Yeah, I was in Vietnam. We had a trip planned. And yeah, I was living in Turkey.
great food country.
It was a great food country, and we had some great food later that day. But yeah, waking up at
What'd you
4, we had I'm gonna butcher the pronunciation, but we went to this really famous fish place in Hanoi. It's called Chaka Lavong, I think is the name of the dish, where you cook the fish in front of you in a thing. It was awesome. But that game was at 4 a.m. or something, and it was brutal. I mean, I was able to watch it just fine, synced with Meryl and everything, but
Nice.
but it sucked.
Also, congratulations to Merrill, Pennsylvania Sportscaster of the Year. Well earned.
Wow.
I didn't see
Nice.
that.
And
Oh.
congratulations too to Mike Sealski and Matt Breen, who were co-winners of the Writers of the Year.
Awesome.
Olivia got snubbed.
No, she wasn't one of the finalists this year.
Oh.
Extra stuff.
Didn't she win last? Didn't
Yeah,
she co-win last year?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you a finalist?
I was.
Oh,
It's okay. Mike
it's
and
an
Matt
honor
are
to be a
very.
finalist.
Yeah. What's that?
An honor to be a finalist.
Honor to be a finalist. Yeah, honestly, it was an honor to be associated with the names that were
Sure.
on that list.
Yeah, you seem a little bit chapped.
No, it's motivation. Next year, I need to need to write better. So I will, starting tomorrow on allphly.com.
All right.
2010. The Eagles lose this game on the final play. Michael Vick targeting Riley Cooper in the end zone. So an Eagle not named A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith is targeted in the end zone. Now, I put in parentheses that the player has to be clearly across the plane. Numerous stat services have end zone targets, so I think we can say like with confidence that it is graded as an end zone target. So an Eagle not named A.J. Brown or DeVonta Smith is targeted in the end zone. We'll start the bidding
At any point in the game.
at any point in the game. We'll start the bidding at 4.
Ah, man, Fran. I wanted that one.
4 going once.
5.
6.
You guys each have 8 turkeys. 6 going once. 6 going twice.
8.
All right, so that ends at 8. Bo's down to 0. And that takes us to the last item. The last item is a Dutch auction with an extra credit possibility. So the item is, and you can borrow from next week, which there might not even be a next week. So, you know, the item is the Eagles win. Now, if there's no next week, you're not going to win this. So that's another thing to think about. The Eagles win, and then the winner will then predict the Eagles' opponent after the auction.
Okay.
And if you get that correct, you get an extra point. So it's like you won 2 items. Now you only get that if the Eagles also win.
So Dutch auction is counting down.
Counting down, yeah.
Okay.
So I'll start at 24 turkeys.
And we all swooper.
Actually, I'll start at 28, and Zach can Zach, you'll have exclusive rights until it gets down to 24. All right, we ready?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone clear on the rules?
Yep.
Oh no,
Fran's still upset about
start at 32. Fran has 8 turkeys left.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. I forgot. Yes. I'll start at 32. So you'll have exclusive rights for the first 4 turkeys if you want. 32, 31, 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15.
Swooper. Nah.
I heard Fran
got
at
15.
15.
Yeah, man, you beat me, Fran.
All right. And Fran, your prediction for the Eagles' opponent. Now, if Tampa Bay wins, it will be Tampa Bay. Otherwise, it will be the winner of Rams-Vikings.
Tampa.
Okay. So if Tampa wins...
you got to pick Tampa because otherwise it's...
Just
Right.
odds-wise,
Odds-wise,
it's more likely
yeah,
that it's
yeah,
Tampa
yeah.
for sure. You'd have to feel strongly about Tampa losing otherwise. Okay, so that was for 15. So Fran's down to -7
All right.
for next week.
Fran is steamed.
Fran got totally thrown off his game there.
I thought that Zach was going to be the one flustered by the nudity proposition.
I wasn't flustered. I was pissed.
I do think that opens up a lot of different rabbit holes here for future swoopers.
Sure as hell does.
Yeah, like
Fran's back with a vengeance next week.
yeah.
All kinds of new rules.
I mean, if I'm gonna if I want to be petty, there's a lot of specific things you could do that yeah.
Okay, let's hear him.
You'll find out in 7 days.
I can do for every book you've published, you have to present every book you publish. Why? I didn't know to wear all those clothes. It's
very
the
true.
same
Well,
concept.
you can't give yourself more turkeys.
No.
you're saying
I can say
a
the
bit of
item.
a turkey is presenting a book?
Yeah, you present a book you publish for a turkey.
Okay, if
Or,
you can
that's-
live with yourself, if you can sleep, sleep at night,
that's true.
plan
So
that way.
I could be like, the Eagles score a point in this game and present.
Yeah, of course you could do that, but there has to be some honor.
I mean,
This was-
look
this
how
was
many
not-
layers you're wearing.
Well, yeah, no more honor.
What do you have underneath there?
I got a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
I got this shirt.
What's underneath the long
I got
sleeve?
one undershirt on.
It's ridiculous. Absurd.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry.
Did you tell the audio listeners what your shirt is, by the way? Because the
No,
shirt
they have to watch.
the shirt is
The shirt is great.
all right.
The shirt is great. Fran, you have. I think Fran still has a good chance to hit all three here. Saquon and Dallas Goedert combined for more yards from scrimmage than Josh Jacobs and Tucker Kraft. The Eagles win, and the Eagles then play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think you're in good shape. Zach, the Eagles. What does my handwriting say here?
The
There are
Eagles,
more total
against Penn
points
State, more
in
total
Packers
points.
Eagles than
More
Penn
total
State Notre
points in the
Dame.
Eagles-Packers game than total points in the Penn State Notre Dame game. The Packers are winning at the end of the first quarter. Either team converts a 4th and long, defined as 8 yards or more, and the Eagles hold the Packers to 17 points or fewer. I have Saquon Barkley as responsible for the longest play from scrimmage in the game. A.J. Brown and Jaden Reed combined for 150 receiving yards. At any point in this game, the Eagles try to draw the opponent off sides. Jake Elliott does not miss a kick. Now, this only counts, like a penalty would not count, right? Like he misses it, but it's a penalty called back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kick that counts. Yeah.
The Eagles do not lose the game without also losing the turnover battle. And at any point in this game, an Eagle other than DeVonta Smith or A.J. Brown is targeted in the end zone. There we go. Super chat from Jason, who says, ZB, we were so distraught by the shoe bombshell that I had to rally the sickos to help you make up for this transgression against Emily and all of us.
Yeah, I gotta say, if you asked Emily, she would tell you this isn't a frequent, a frequent thing. Also, but I do keep like shoes in my closet, right? You know, do you have like dress shoes in your closet and that kind of
Dress
thing?
shoes, yeah.
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 Well, so what do I wear to games
Okay.
typically?
Well, yeah, okay.
So,
But not into the bedroom.
well, I mean, my closet's like next to my bedroom. So to get to my closet, I need to get to the bedroom.
I usually take my move is I usually take the shoes off and then I'll carry them up to wherever I'm going to put
So you
them.
guys don't have, like
your
a
house.
shoe closet near the entrance?
What's that?
This
We
is
have
like
it- we
a
have it-
total cultural difference here, but like a shoe, a place to put your shoes like near the front door.
Yeah.
We do,
Yeah.
but they
Yes.
are completely occupied by like 5 pairs of Francis shoes.
just not big enough.
Like
Yeah.
17 pairs of Meg shoes and then 1 pair of sneakers for me.
Yeah, no, my like everyday shoes are there, but like
Yeah.
not the shoes I wear to a game or
Yep,
like to a
right.
nice event. Those are upstairs in my room, in my closet. So like I will,
That makes sense.
Yeah. So, but I'll come in, I'll say hello, and yeah, it's not like a thing where I constantly are wearing shoes around the house. Although I did think about it afterwards. I probably wear it more often because I'll get like dressed for the day, and I might put shoes on.
That's interesting to me. Yeah, I wouldn't do that.
I don't like being barefoot.
Okay.
And
What's the pathology behind that?
I'm rarely barefoot.
I'm
too.
cold. Like, yeah, my
Okay.
feet are cold. Yeah. And
Well, that's
yeah,
where these
I
come
wear
in.
socks. Yeah. So now I can wear house shoes or slippers or yeah. I don't know why I'm saying house shoes. I think I saw that in the chat the other day. You need a pair of house shoes. Yeah, slippers. I'm very grateful. I appreciate this.
For those of you not watching on Fast an hour later, now would be a good time to continue going back to allphly.com. I was going to let you know that appropriate of our conversation of the day, stubbed my toe badly last night in the
Oh,
middle of the
sorry to
night.
hear that.
Yeah, walking back to the bed.
Oof.
I'm really sorry to
Tough.
hear that.
On what? Bedpost?
On the bed, yeah, like the corner of the bed, like where the hallway entrance comes in is not quite like there's a little bit of a clearing to get around the bed. Just middle of the night, didn't triangulate it correctly.
You didn't have like 6 pairs of socks on to help soften the blow?
No. I did.
Curious.
I was happy about the 2-sock gambit.
I'm surprised you haven't put your shoes back on. You make yourself comfortable here.
Oh, well, I won the item. I feel like it's only fair that the audience gets to see this, all of this of me.
Shout out to Bo. There's a great story up on allphly.com. The headline says 10 players to watch, but it's people in associated.
Does it say
team.
players or Eagles?
I thought it said players. I could be wrong.
Check the drafts.
Let's see. First time I read
You're
it was
calling
this
me out
morning.
on an incorrect thing.
No, most compelling Eagles. You're right. Well done. Okay.
Thank you. So
Yeah. I'm not calling you out.
I'm expecting an apology.
I literally complimented you. I'm saying
You said that was a backhanded thing. You said the headline says players, but actually the headline doesn't say
And
players.
you have to sign up to be a
Says
diehard to
10
Okay,
learn
most
who the
compelling
non-player Eagles are on there.
Yeah, so a good job by Bo. Make sure you check that out. Ed Barkowitz has a piece up last night, 25, kind of notes about the Packers. Fran's scouting report is awesome every single week, but especially this week against the Packers. I will have a piece up tomorrow and then a piece up Saturday as well. So make sure you are subscribing to allphly.com. And some exciting stuff coming up, non-Eagles next week or in the coming weeks.
I think we can say what's coming up next week, right?
Yeah.
We got an NFL draft show with Fran Duffy
Yeah.
debuting next week.
Next week.
Can't wait.
Debuting with
Mock draft.
mock draft. Yeah, great way to get into it.
Got the mock draft, and we have Senior Bowl, Shrine Bowl right after. So it'll be a lot of fun. Weekly show.
Fran's going to be crazy busy during this. I think the Eagles win on Sunday. Fran's got the draft going on. He's got the Eagles going on. This is going to be,
It's a good busy.
we appreciate all that you do here at allphly.com.
Given your biases, is it fair to say that the mock draft will be littered with the Irish?
No, I actually don't think that their name. I don't think they're going to have a player in the mock draft.
Xavier Watts isn't a first rounder for you?
I haven't done him to the length that I would say that he's a first
scouted
rounder
him.
now. Yeah.
I've not done him yet.
Fran, do you think the NILs are going to make it so that in future years, Bo's just going to hate every player in the draft because they're all going to be so old?
Likely. Yeah, probably.
That's something to think about.
Yeah.
It's all
You might have to
contextual.
recalibrate like what a normal age
exactly.
is.
It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
contextual.
I honestly can't answer a question about Bo at the moment. I'm not in a safe space right now. I'm still.
I actually like your slate the best, though.
You got it. Yeah, you got
15
the best
for the
quality.
Eagles and the
Short,
Bucks.
short but sweet list.
I didn't want to. Yeah, but I didn't want to go in with negative turkeys for next week. So I was hoping to. Not great.
I mean,
Can't take them with you, though.
Yeah.
that's what they say about the
I was
clothes.
careful to make it an item that, if it hits, means there is a next week.
Yeah. Right.
You know, I didn't want it to become like a cheap I'll just win the season by having this one hit. You know, because this
If you're
way
borrowing. If
if
you're
that
borrowing.
one if
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one
yeah.
helped you,
Yes,
it
yes,
means
yes.
you're borrowing from something
that's good.
real.
Yeah, one rationale. I was considering one piece of strategy there, going like high on hitting and then offering up like hard to hit swoopers next week.
Right.
Because I would be at a turkey
Sure,
deficit.
sure.
But I thought that would violate the integrity of the game. So, and I believe quite a bit about the integrity of the game. So,
Makes,
So do I.
Makes one of us.
Please. There's only one architect, baby. All right. That'll do it. Oh, we have another super chat.
Chase.
From CDP, who checking in 8 hours
Hour
later.
3.
Does Saquon rushing for 2,000 make Dallas Goedert a lot for offensive player?
I think this is a really good question, and I will just say this: Saquon would definitely have the record if Dallas Goedert had played the whole year, like without a doubt.
Honestly, you're probably right about that.
But Chase Daniel Plainview,
That's so
thank you for entertaining these immature people.
well, Chase Daniel, Plainview, I will say, and this ties into the mock draft conversation.
I don't mean to be blocking.
There might be a good A/B sample next year because I think Dallas Goedert could be playing his final month with the Eagles.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we'll
Saquon
see.
was so close to 2,000 all the years without Dallas Goedert that you have a good point.
All right.
2
That'll
hours.
do it for this episode of the PHLY Eagles podcast. A full breakdown, some other stuff to make Fran mad, but that's okay. We'll keep it together. We've got another show tomorrow, 2 o'clock, the middle two here, myself and Deniz, with Zach checking in from NovaCare as well. And then it's all about the game day on Sunday. We'll have you fully covered for that. So for Julia and all the sickos watching both live and after the fact and listening in their ears, we thank you very much. Subscribe, download, all that good stuff. Become a diehard. We'll talk to you tomorrow. For Fran, my dear, dear friend, Deniz, Zach, and all of us here, we thank you for watching and listening. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.